Chapter 141. Shua. Shua. Before the demonic beast landed, two young figures had already pounced on it with lightning speed. One of them was burly like a mountain, with a height of more than 2 meters. He was one size bigger than Xiao Yi. The other had a feminine aura, his eyes emitting a faint cold light, like a poisonous snake waiting for an opportunity to attack. Lin Yu, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Elephant Mountain Nation, the Tiger Dragon Mountain, and Wei Dongxi, the head disciple of a rank 7 martial institution in the Thousand Thread Nation, the Green Bamboo Martial School. These two have also reached the clasping Yuan realm, ranked 70th and 66th in the last hidden dragon rank. Hearing Luo Hanshan's introduction, Yi Chen seemed to be thinking about something. Among the 13 hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, there were 2 who hadn't reached the clasping Yuan realm yet, but they shouldn't be underestimated. After all, 1.5 years ago, they were already able to enter the hidden dragon ranked with the cultivation of peak-level late condensing reality realm, which meant that they were much more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu, not to mention now, 1.5 years later. In comparison, the child-level power of the Windy Nation's child-level power was a bit lacking. The child-level power was definitely at the bottom. Hihi, so many people have come, many of my old friends. Lin Yu twisted his neck, letting out a series of bone-creaking sounds. Wei Dongxi scanned the crowd and sneered. Apart from those old acquaintances on the list, the rest are all trash. I hope they don't run into me, or else I'll kill them without mercy. The murderous aura is still so heavy. However, you have to be careful of Zhuang Fei. During the Hidden Dragon ranking competition, he took a palm strike from you. This time, he will definitely pay you back," said Lin Yu, fanning the flames. "He can barely be considered an opponent. I will satisfy him." Although their voices were not loud, those with good hearing could still hear them. Over at the Emerald Martial Palace, the core disciples were indignant. This person is too arrogant. Could it be that he thinks he can defeat eldest senior brother? Once our head brother breaks through to the clasping Yuan realm, he will definitely lead the Emerald Martial School to glory. How could he stop him? He has overestimated himself. Zhuang Fei stopped their discussion and said indifferently, "Go in and kill him. Don't talk too much." Yes. The few of them immediately quietened down as if they were worshipping a god. Night fell quickly. The night of the scorching ancient desert was colder than expected. The surface of the sand was even covered with ice, which was as hard as iron. This damned desert. Many disciples who came out to relieve themselves couldn't help but shiver and curse. In the thick tent, Yi Chen was meditating. Right now, his Zhenqi cultivation was almost at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. However, he was still not strong enough to reach the peak in one go. In the true spirit continent, the progress of a warrior's cultivation was not the same. Some of them had accumulated a lot of experience and could improve a lot at once. Some of them just blindly followed the others and took it one step at a time. There were also some who tried their best to reach a certain realm, but because they had used up all of their accumulated experience, they had to stay in that realm for a very long time. Currently, Yi Chen belonged to the second type, which was to cultivate step by step and be down to earth. It was not that he did not want to choose the first type, but he simply did not have the time to accumulate his foundation. His actual cultivation time was less than 2 years, so how could he compare with others? As for the third type, the drawbacks were too great, and very few people would choose it. The advantage of taking things one step at a time was that he could grasp his current strength faster and unleash 100% of his strength to its peak without any wastage. It was a silent night. It was already noon of the second day. More people from different martial institutions had arrived, including the Purple Sun Martial School, North Snow Martial Academy and South Rudra Martial School from the Windy Nation, and of course, the only rank 9 family in the Windy Nation, the Duanmu family. So many powerful martial artists. Ouyang Lai and the others gasped in shock. They immediately stopped being so arrogant. Casually glancing at them, Yi Chen was a bit surprised. Yuan Xuemei was also here, but she was not even in the top 6 of the South Rudra Martial School. Of course, she was indeed very talented. Maybe the leader of the South Rudra Martial School wanted her to find some opportunities because of this. Another group of people who want to die. Yuan Hongying and Mo Wushue sneered. The third day. A red sun rose from the east, dyeing the scorching ancient desert red. The heavenly dream ancient region will open in half an hour. You guys hand over your storage rings to me. The head elder gathered the 4 people and said. Luo Hanshan was surprised. Head elder, why? The head elder laughed and said, it's my fault for not thinking about it before. The heavenly dream ancient region is located in a space crack. It has its own small world, but it is different from the world we are in. The heavenly dream ancient region rejects all external space. Even storage rings with space crystals would be strongly rejected. Once a martial artist steps into the heavenly dream ancient region, the storage rings would be crushed by the powerful space power. So that's how it is. The 4 people understood. They took off their storage rings one by one and handed them to the head elder. Putting away the storage rings, the head elder said, don't worry, the storage rings are your personal belongings. Without your permission, we won't check them. That's great. Yi Chen was really afraid that the head elder would check his storage rings. In his storage rings, there were over 10,000 low-rank soulstones, a low-rank great blade and a mid-rank storage ring. He didn't know how rare and precious a mid-rank storage ring was, but he had never seen an inner elder wearing a mid-rank storage ring. Yi Chen let out a bitter smile. Maybe I'm just a petty person. Would the head elder be greedy for my mid-rank storage ring? Not likely. Of course, Yi Chen wasn't ashamed of this. His motto in life was to be extra careful, extra cautious. If he didn't make it a habit today, it might lead to a disaster in the future. Sometimes, even if he trusted the other party, he shouldn't expose himself completely. The mountain-thick cyan light was getting brighter and brighter. That illusory light gate was no longer illusory. It looked like it was made of crystal and contained within the cyan light. Half an hour passed in a blink of an eye. Ang! The light gate slowly opened, and a loud and clear sound shook people's hearts. The head elder let out a long breath and said in a serious tone, everyone, go in. Remember, no matter where you are teleported to, stay calm, don't panic. Yes. The 4 of them were about to step into the gate. Swoosh. Haha, the heavenly dream ancient region is controlled by your institutions. Why can't we go in? Today, no one can stop me. Sand and dust rose into the air. 2 human silhouettes flew towards the light gate at an extremely high speed, almost reaching the speed of sound, letting out a loud swishing sound. 2 mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Yi Chen stopped walking. He was shocked. He didn't know where these 2 people came from. How could they hide under everyone's nose? Strangely, none of the elders from the institutions tried to stop them. Some of them shook their heads regretfully, but most of them sneered. Puff, puff. Something amazing happened. The 2 of them were like moths flying into a flame. They were burned into ashes by the cyan light, not even leaving a trace, including the storage rings on their fingers. Stupid, if anyone could go in, how could you 2 get in? All the powerful martial artists from the institutions would have gone in already. The rules of the heavenly dream ancient region are very strange. Only people with a bone age of less than 24 can go in safely. Even life and death realm martial artists can't change their bone age. Through his soul power, Yi Chen sensed that a lot of people were discussing among themselves. No wonder they didn't stop him. They already knew the truth. However, it was easy to understand. The heavenly dream ancient region had been revealed for a long time. All the top martial institutions must have done a thorough research on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so bold as to let their most talented disciples enter it to collect wealth for them. I'll go in first. The head disciple of the evil blood martial school, Mo Wushue, moved his body, transformed into a beam of blood-red light and darted into the light gate, disappearing completely. Almost at the same time, the other hidden dragon martial school's powerful martial artists followed closely behind. Their extremely fast-moving silhouettes were dragging different colored streams of Zhenqi behind them. It was quite a beautiful scene. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. In the next moment, over 600 disciples rushed towards the light gate like a swarm of locusts. Some of them even started fighting against each other on the way. Let's go in as well. Seeing that most of the disciples had left, Lu Hanshan couldn't wait any longer. He leapt into the light gate. What a magnificent scene! It was the first time for Yi Chen to see so many powerful young martial artists gathered in one place. He slightly sighed, shook his head and followed Xu Jing into the light gate, neither too fast nor too slow. Ouyang Lai, Ouyang Ming, you two remember, if you meet any Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples, kill them if you can, don't show any mercy. If the situation allows, you can join hands with people from other institutions and find a chance to assassinate them, especially that kid named Yi Chen. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder sent a message to Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming through his Zhenqi. A vicious light flashed across Ouyang Ming's eyes. He responded with his Zhenqi, Elder, don't worry, even if you don't remind me, I will still kill all 4 of the Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples. As for that Yi Chen, although he might be a bit troublesome, he won't be a problem for me. He will eventually have to fight against someone else. Indeed, that's exactly what I meant. The Purple Sun Martial School's elder grinned evilly. Ouyang Lai said without any hesitation, as long as I am here, the 4 of them won't be able to come out alive. Then I will leave it to you. Shoo. Shoo. The 2 of them entered the light gate with an ulterior motive. The other 4 Purple Sun Martial School's disciples followed them. On the Sky Cloud Martial School's side, the 4th elder noticed this subtle scene. He used his Zhenqi to send a message to the head elder. Those bastards from the Purple Sun Martial School won't play any tricks, will they? The head elder said, once they enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, their lives will be in their own hands. We have to believe that they will be able to come out alive, and it would also be good if they can kill those Purple Sun Martial School's disciples. Luo Hanshan and Xu Jing are both cruel and merciless. Zhumai is still a bit soft. As for Yi Chen, I can't see through him. I don't know if he will leave any of them alive. Don't underestimate Yi Chen. He can be more cruel than anyone else in a critical moment. Once he entered the light gate, Yi Chen felt that the space around him was twisting. He couldn't see anything. He couldn't sense anything. He had become blind. After that, his body became as light as a feather, as if he was teleporting from a long distance. His speed was incredibly fast. After an unknown period of time, Yi Chen appeared in a huge swamp area, surrounded by swamps that were bubbling with grey bubbles and strange-looking trees. Occasionally, a hissing sound could be heard. Chapter 142. Golden Top Silver Snake Plant. Looking around, Yi Chen fixed his eyes on a grey lump of soil 10 meters away. In the middle of the lump of soil, a small plant with silver scales all over its body was standing there. There was even a trace of golden light on top of the plant, emitting a fine light. This plant is worth 50,000 gold. It is extremely rare. I can't believe I can see it here. Yi Chen was a bit surprised. One plant was worth 50,000 gold. It was definitely a sky-high price. If it was made into a protective pellet, it would be worth at least 500,000 gold. Even clasping Yuan realm warriors would fight for it. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen waved his hand. The golden top silver snake plant automatically came out of the soil and flew into his hand. However, before he could take a closer look, the lump of soil suddenly rose up, 2 openings appeared on both sides, and a cold light gathered together, locking onto him. This was not a lump of soil at all. It was obviously a demonic beast that looked like a crocodile. Splash! The crocodile broke out of the water. Its 10 meters huge body carrying a strong corrosive demonic chi jumped towards Yi Chen. It opened its huge mouth full of sharp teeth. Yi Chen did not panic as he threw a punch at the crocodile beast's mouth. Clang! Tens of thousands of pounds of strength combined with pure Jin Qi, it only made the crocodile fly back a few steps. Not even a slight wound appeared on it. Die! After the first punch failed, Yi Chen's clothes fluttered in the wind. He punched the crocodile's abdomen again. Swoosh! This punch was not only extremely heavy, it also contained an unbreakable sharpness. It instantly pierced through the crocodile's body. Its blood dyed the swamp red. Taking out a black bag with golden threads, Yi Chen dug out the crocodile's pellet and threw it into the bag along with the jade box containing the golden top silver snake plant. Tying the bag tightly around his waist, Yi Chen's body flashed. He headed deeper into the swamp. Not long after, danger appeared again. From the big trees on both sides of the swamp, dozens of snake-like birds with wings flew out. The strange birds let out hissing sounds, attacking towards Yi Chen from all directions. Rule the world. With a punch, an umbrella-shaped black light shrouded Yi Chen's figure. The terrifying strange birds seemed to have crashed into an invisible wall and were all bounced back. They were twisted by the force of the punch. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths and their wings were broken. They fell into the swamp like rain and gradually sank. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region is an ancient inheritance ground. The environment inside has been preserved from the ancient times, and the beasts inside are also ancient beasts. Each and every one of them is incredibly powerful. According to the strength of the demonic chi, Yi Chen could easily tell that the crocodile was a level 4 demonic beast, and the horrifying bird was a level 3 demonic beast. However, compared to the demonic beasts outside, the demonic beasts here were at least 30% stronger. Their defense was exceptionally strong, and even a simple tyrant fist could not kill them. Yi Chen had no idea how vast the swamp was. He had been walking for half an hour, but he still hadn't seen the edge of the swamp. Along the way, countless demonic beasts had tried to attack him. Just a while ago, a calf-sized snail had spat out a mouthful of sticky liquid towards him. This sticky liquid was not only extremely sticky, but also contained a poisonous gas. If Yi Chen hadn't reacted fast enough and held his breath while dodging it, he would have been poisoned. At last, this snail was beheaded by Yi Chen with a single sword attack. That was the first time he had used his sword in this swamp. One could easily imagine how powerful that snail was. Stepping on a branch, Yi Chen stopped leaning forward and turned his head, looking at the scorched ground tens of meters away from him. A broken stone monument stood on the ground. The words carved on it had already been blurred. In front of the monument, an iron stick was stuck into the ground. Only the back half of the stick, which was about a meter long, was exposed. Tem. Yi Chen's eyes lit up. The iron stick was emitting a faintly discernible spirit chi. He was sure that a normal weapon wouldn't have such an effect. Could it be a brilliant weapon? Although he liked swords, it didn't mean that he would ignore other brilliant weapons. In the market, a low-rank brilliant weapon was worth at least 1 million gold taels. A slightly better one could be sold for 2 to 3 million gold taels. A low-rank brilliant weapon like the air splitter blade could even be sold for 4 to 5 million gold taels. Using the crane shadow steps, Yi Chen's figure disappeared from the branch. When he reappeared, he was already standing in front of the broken stone monument. Reaching out his hand to grab the iron stick, Yi Chen pulled it out with all his might. Boom! A scarlet-red flame soared into the sky, burning the big trees on the side into ashes. This was not an iron stick, but a pitch-black iron spear. It was 2 meters long, and the body of the spear had a mysterious spiral pattern. The edge of the spear was quadrangular, and there were grooves between the edges. At first glance, one would think that there was a spiral flame burning on the tip of the iron stick. It looked natural. A low-rank great spear, good stuff. Yi Chen could feel that there was a burning chi flowing in the iron spear. As long as he slightly pushed his Jin chi, this burning chi would burst out and kill his enemies. However, compared to the tiger head great blade in his storage ring and lynch hair splitter blade, it was slightly weaker. Great weapons were called brilliant weapons because they came with their own power. For example, the tiger head great blade contained blade chi, which could be used by mortal realm warriors. As for lynch hair splitter blade, it was probably the same. This low-rank great spear contained the power of fire, which was undoubtedly the best weapon for those who trained in fire Jin Chi. Holding the iron spear, Yi Chen frowned. Such a huge iron spear, where should he keep it? He couldn't just hold it in his hand all the time. It was so inconvenient to not have a storage ring. Yi Chen shook his head and forced a smile. Thousands of meters away, 4 or 5 disciples from different martial institutions saw the flame in front of them. Their eyes lit up, and they rushed over without hesitation. Someone is coming. Yi Chen, who was about to leave, froze. After a dozen breaths, 5 disciples from different martial institutions appeared around him. They were all from different martial institutions from different countries. Each of them was staring at the low-rank great spear in his hand. The greed in their eyes was self-evident. Brat, put down the spear. Cut off one of your arms, and I will spare your life. Such a treasure, how could you get it? You asked for it. The 5 of them slowly approached, trying to get the low-rank Great Spear first. Yi Chen sneered. These 5 people were all peak-level late condensing reality realm warriors. Judging from their chi, 3 of them were child-level warriors, and the other 2 were child-level warriors. If you want the Great Spear, you will have to die first. There was no killing intent, no evil chi. Yi Chen had a sharp spirit, an unbreakable sharp spirit. You are looking for death. The disciple closest to Yi Chen made his move. He raised his hand and threw out a palm attack. A millstone-sized Zhenqi palm pressed towards Yi Chen. These were not worthy of his sword attack. Yi Chen held the iron spear and stabbed it out. Whoosh! The red flame burned through the Zhenqi palm and hit his neck. Pap! His head flew out, and the place where it was cut off was burnt black. He has a low-rank great spear. Let's attack together. The other 4 were startled and shouted, trying to put on a brave front. You are asking for death. He threw out a back spear attack. Layers of spear shadows appeared, like a mountain range. It was Yi Chen's lone peak of 13 swords, using the mountain range sword art. The martial disciple who attacked from behind had not even gotten close to Yi Chen, but already had dozens of burnt holes on his body. The fatal one was on his forehead, and half of his skull had been blown off. After killing a martial disciple with 1 spear attack, Yi Chen did not even take a breath. He swung his spear horizontally, and the red flame exploded, landing on the left side of the other martial disciple's waist. Crack! That martial disciple's body was cut in half, and fell into the swamp. Run! This guy is not a normal late condensing reality realm warrior. At this moment, the remaining 2 people finally understood that Yi Chen was not someone they could mess with. Normally, a warrior with a low-rank great weapon would be able to fight against 2 people at most, and that would be the limit. It would be impossible to kill 3 people at once, and that would only be possible if one's own fighting power was equally powerful. But it was too late to run now. One of them was too slow, and his head was blown off by Yi Chen. The other one was already hundreds of meters away. Before he could even feel lucky, he felt a burning sensation in his chest. He looked down, and saw that the spear had pierced through his chest, nailing him to a big tree. The big tree was burning, and the fire spread everywhere. Walking over and pulling out the iron spear, Yi Chen thought to himself, to me, child-level power is not enough anymore. You can only blame your bad luck. Instead of leaving immediately, Yi Chen suddenly turned around. It's time to show yourself. Friend. Shoo. A human silhouette jumped out and landed on a rock in the middle of the swamp. Not bad, with a low-rank great spear, you managed to kill 5 disciples from other martial institutions at the same level. If possible, I don't want to kill you. But you have to cut off one of your own arms. As for the great spear, it will be my, Qiu Heng's, trophy. What do you think? The young man was about 21 or 22 years old. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a strong evil vibe coming from his body. A poisonous snake next to him had just shown its head, but it was immediately kicked in half by him. Killing a rank 3 ancient beast in a second, he was very powerful. Yi Chen could tell that his opponent was not simple. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, a rank 3 ancient beast's defense was extremely strong. Even his tyrant fist could not kill it instantly. But his opponent was able to kill it so easily. If he was not mistaken, this person's power was close to the last hidden dragon rank warriors. If it were before, Yi Chen would not have the confidence to win against him. But now, things were different. The young man sneered, in the last hidden dragon rank, I was ranked 75. Unfortunately, I was only in the top 72. But if you compare me to a normal peak-level late condensing reality realm warrior, you will die a horrible death. I can kill a bunch of those people easily. Do you want to live or die? Make your choice. Clang. The iron spear stabbed into the ground. Yi Chen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and said, I will kill you with 1 sword attack. Ah, why are there so many people who want to die? Don't worry, I won't let you die right away. I will tear off your limbs and stick them on a tree. While saying those creepy words, Qiu Heng's right foot lightly tapped on the rock. Puff! The rock exploded, and he had already jumped towards Yi Chen. While he was still in the air, His sharp leg power had already cut a few big trees near Yi Chen in half. The cut was as smooth as a mirror, as if it had been carefully polished. Compared to him, Shapotian and the others were not even on the same level. This Qiu Heng was unbelievably powerful. One sword attack. Yi Chen did not react at all. He slightly shook his head and casually threw out a sword attack. What's going on? I can see my back with my head. Qiu Heng felt that his body was moving further and further away. He could see his back, but his target had already put his sword back into its scabbard and turned around. That strange feeling made him panic. Chapter 143. His death was too fast. Maybe even in the end, Qiu Heng didn't know how he died. However, this had nothing to do with Yi Chen. He was only responsible for killing people. With a great sword hanging on his waist and an iron spear in his hand, Yi Chen lightly touched the ground and flew up to the top of a tree like a wisp of smoke. Then he flashed and disappeared. Squeak. Once Yi Chen left, countless bugs crawled out of the swamp and devoured Qiu Heng's body and head. Not even his bones were left. Not only was there a massacre happening in the swamp where Yi Chen was, but there were also massacres happening in other places. In the middle of a mountain range. The smell of blood was everywhere. Run. It's one bloodless blade, Mo Wuxue. What? It's Mo Wuxue. We're dead. We're all dead. Outside the simple and magnificent cave, 6 to 7 sect disciples were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves as they flew out. Some of them were even using incomplete cultivation methods just to increase their speed a little. There were also some people who were carrying explosive pellets with them to save their lives and threw them behind them. Since you're already here, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Mo Wuxue, who was wearing a blood-red robe with golden edges, walked out of the cave. He laughed evilly, holding the blood-red thin blade in his hand. He swung it sideways. There was no obvious blade light or blade chi, only an arc-shaped line of blood. Silently, the heads of those people who were running away were cut off. There was no blood coming out of the wounds. It was as if the heads were sealed inside their bodies by an invisible force. It was extremely strange. One bloodless blade, killing people without spilling blood. This was the power of the head disciple of the evil blood martial school, the 54th ranked disciple of the last hidden dragon rank. At the same time, in another place. Beside the lake. Yuan Hengying glanced at the people who wanted to run but didn't dare to, and said cruelly, apart from the Sky Eagle Castle's disciples, anyone who runs into me, Yuan Hengying, has only one choice, death. Hearing this, these people's faces turned pale. They had found a fish dragon plant that was worth 70,000 gold by the side of the lake. When they were fighting against each other, they had actually attracted the attention of the most bloodthirsty Yuan Hengying. Yuan Hengying was known as the Killer Eagle. He had never left anyone alive. In terms of notoriety, he was even more notorious than Mo Wuxue. At least, Mo Wuxue killed for the sake of killing. As long as they didn't provoke him, they would have a high chance of surviving. However, Yuan Hengying was unpredictable. He would kill people when he was in a good mood, he would kill people when he was in a bad mood, he would kill people when he was in a good mood. Even if he was in a good mood, he would still kill people when he was in a good mood. Clearly, the current Killer Eagle was normal, which meant that he could kill people. However, I've changed my mind. I'll give you the time of 3 breaths. Whoever can escape from my attack will be spared. Yuan Hengying really liked this kind of atmosphere. He was in control of other people's life and death. If he wanted them to live, he would live. If he wanted them to die, he would die. He had done this many times before. 3 breaths, escape from my attack. Everyone's eyes brightened. Most of them were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was not a problem for them to fly 100 meters in 1 breath. Some of the faster ones could even reach 200 meters. If they ran as fast as they could in 3 breaths, they might be able to survive from Yuan Hengying. What? Why are you still not running? Maybe I will change my mind soon. Yuan Hengying licked his lips, a hideous look flashed through his eyes. Run. Under the pressure of death, everyone pushed their Zhenqi to its limit. They flew out at a speed that was way faster than before, scattering in all directions. Within 1 breath, The slowest person was already 100 meters away. Within 2 breaths, the slowest person was already 250 meters away. Within 3 breaths, the fastest person was already 1 mile away. Eagle soul splitting. Yuan Hangying yelled. He put both of his hands in front of his chest and pushed them out. Shoo, 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 shoo. The dark cyan Zhenqi condensed into numerous huge Zhenqi eagles. With Yuan Hangying as the starting point, they spread out in all directions like lightning. Ah! A scream was heard. The slowest martial disciple's head was ripped apart by the claws of a huge Zhenqi eagle. His body slid out for 10 meters, and he was no longer breathing. Then the second martial disciple, the third, the fourth, only one person was left, and he had already run for almost 1,000 meters. Not bad, you managed to run that far. But it is not that easy to escape from one attack. Eagle combination, eagle sky attack. All of the Zhenqi eagles combined into one, forming a super huge eagle. The super huge eagle flapped its wings, and 2 dark cyan chi blades flew out. Right then, that martial disciple seemed to feel death approaching. He took out a dark red iron bomb from his pocket. It was called the red light fire bomb, which was as famous as the silver light thunderbolt bomb. It could kill a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm warrior. But of course, he did not dare to attack Yuan Hangying. Instead, he threw the bomb towards the chi blades behind him, and yelled, "Explode!" Boom! A bright red light exploded, and the 2 chi blades were shattered immediately. I dodged one attack. His face was filled with excitement, and his mind and body suddenly relaxed. Swoosh! All of a sudden, another chi blade flew out, and cut off his head. This martial disciple died with his eyes wide open. Yuan Hangying lightly landed in front of the martial disciple, and said casually, "I told you, anyone who runs into me, Yuan Hangying, can only die. I will not make an exception. 3 breaths was just a joke, don't take it seriously." Waving his hand, 3 red light fire bombs flew out of the martial disciple's pocket and landed in Yuan Hangying's hand. He sneered, and flashed out. The swamp area was extremely dangerous, and sometimes, it was not a good thing to be too fast. Just now, Yi Chen had suffered a great loss, and had to slow down his speed to about 60 to 70%, saving some energy for himself. Piercing through a demonic bird that had sneakily attacked from the sky, Yi Chen stood on top of a huge tree. Looking into the distance, there was nothing in front of him, and nothing in front of him. Is this the end? Yi Chen frowned. Without any hesitation, he moved his body forward, and moved as light as a swallow. This place was a dark cliff, and inside the cliff was a swamp area. Outside the cliff, there was nothing but nothingness, as if it was blocked by a great barrier that no one could see through. Thinking about what the leader Luo Xinglia had said before, the Heavenly Dream ancient region was extremely mysterious, and that the entrance of the treasury could be in the mountains, under the water, or even just by jumping down, Yi Chen hesitated for a second, then jumped down from the cliff. He had learned the crane shadow steps art, which allowed him to fly for a long distance. If anything happened, he could come back anytime he wanted. But if he didn't try, there was no other way to go, and the only way left was to turn back, which would undoubtedly waste a lot of time and energy. In the Heavenly Dream ancient region, time was money. After falling for about 500 meters, Yi Chen felt that the bottom of the cliff was still immeasurably deep. Clouds were rolling in the air, and he suddenly wanted to go back. But right at this moment, the space underneath vibrated intensely, and formed into a 10 meters wide whirlpool, sucking Yi Chen in. Pop! Yi Chen let out a sigh of relief as his feet landed on the ground. Just like what the leader had said, the entrance of the treasury was everywhere. It all depended on whether you had the guts or not. If he didn't jump down just now, he would have lost a great opportunity. Letting out a deep breath, Yi Chen finally had the mood to observe the surroundings. Looking around, he found that his surroundings were very dark. He was in a stone corridor. On the walls on both sides of the corridor, there was a small protruding stone platform every 100 meters. In the center of the small stone platform, there were candles as thick as a child's arm. The faint light from the candles flickered brightly and dimly. Thanks to the sword intent, Yi Chen wasn't scared by the dark environment. He started walking deeper into the corridor. After walking for a few hundred meters, a side road appeared on the right side of the corridor, and he could vaguely hear people talking. Looks like I'm not the only one here. Yi Chen thought for a while, then quietly walked into the side road. At the end of the side road, there was a luxurious, ancient hall. The crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall never went out, emitting a soft and bright light, which brought a sense of security to the dark environment. Yi Chen looked down. There were 3 doors on the side of the hall, and each door was carved with different things. Right now, a group of disciples were fighting each other, trying to get into the hall first. My head disciple is Xue Hen, ranked 57th in the Hidden Dragon rank. Anyone who offends us, the invisible martial school, will die. Get the hell out of here. I am a disciple of the White Deer Cave, and my head disciple is Lu Jiao. The rest of you, get out of here. In the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, life and death are all up to fate. If I kill you, who will know who killed you? Don't be stupid, die. Sounds of chi explosions came one after another. Even the crystal lamp on the ceiling of the hall started shaking, as if it was going to fall off at any second. Yi Chen was planning to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight, but he suddenly heard footsteps coming from behind him. They were not far away from here. If it was a normal martial disciple, he wouldn't care, he could just kill them. But this person's footsteps seemed to contain some kind of magical power. Each step seemed to contain a mountain-like power, but it gave off an oppressive feeling as if a storm was coming. Early clasping Yuan realm warrior. With this thought flashing across his mind, Yi Chen stepped out of the side road and came into the hall. Shoo! The fight paused for a second, and everyone's attention was on Yi Chen. Seeing the cloud patterns on Yi Chen's sleeves, a lot of people grinned viciously. Windy Nation's Sky Cloud Martial School, a disciple from a rank 9 martial institution, how dare he come here? He really doesn't know how to spell the word death. I have never killed a disciple from the Sky Cloud Martial School, but I have killed a disciple from the North Snow Martial Academy. It was so easy. I wonder how these people train themselves. Let's kill him first. That's right. These people had been fighting for a long time, but couldn't find a winner in a short time. Seeing Yi Chen show up, they immediately walked towards him with evil intentions, as if they were looking at a dead man. Yi Chen sneered, a bunch of reckless people. If it weren't for the fact that there was someone in the side road, I would have killed them already. Now, I should just wait and see. Die. Before these people could attack first, a huge Zhen Qi fist suddenly swooshed out from the side road. The Zhen Qi fist was extremely condensed, it was as huge as a mountain, piercing through the entire hall at an amazing speed. Bang, 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 bang. Almost half of the people were killed by the power of the fist, their bodies were sent flying in the air. The Zhen Qi fist's power didn't fade away, it even broke a thick pillar in the hall. Chapter 144. Such a strong fist power. Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. All of the people in the hall were either at the child level or child level, but they couldn't even take a single punch, and half of them were either killed or wounded. A hidden dragon ranking martial artist is here. His fist power is as strong as a mountain. He is Lin Yu, ranked 70th in the Hidden Dragon ranking. Run. Every 10 years, more than 60% of the disciples in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region were killed by Hidden Dragon ranking martial artists, and only a small part of them died in the hunt of ancient demonic beasts. In the eyes of these disciples, every Hidden Dragon ranking martial artist was a killer. They had to run as fast as they could, otherwise, they would definitely die. No one knew who took the lead, but all of the surviving disciples fled in all directions. Soon, only Yi Chen and 7 or 8 corpses were left in the hall. Tap, tap, the sound of footsteps grew clearer and clearer. A sturdy figure slowly appeared in Yi Chen's sight. He was over 2 meters tall, and as sturdy as a mountain. He was Lin Yu, the head disciple of the Dragon Tiger Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Elephant Mountain country, and was ranked 70th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. Lin Yu glanced at the corpses on the ground, then turned to Yi Chen and said with a slight surprise, "Why didn't you run?" In his eyes, Yi Chen was only a late condensing reality realm martial artist. He hadn't even reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Although those who could enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region were all outstanding martial artists from their institutions, they were still not strong enough. With his early clasping Yuan realm cultivation, who would care about a late condensing reality realm martial artist? Yi Chen gave a faint smile and said, I'm also interested in the treasures in there, why should I run? Oh, it seems like you're quite confident. But too bad, those who are not powerful enough and overconfident usually die early. They will never be able to make a name for themselves. Lin Yu held his hands behind his back. He didn't take Yi Chen seriously at all. He wasn't afraid that Yi Chen would launch a sneak attack on him. Why don't you try? Yi Chen knew that no matter how much he said, he had to prove himself with his own power. Otherwise, Lin Yu would only treat him as a pushover. A strange look flashed across Lin Yu's eyes. Yi Chen clearly knew that Lin Yu was a martial artist ranked in the Hidden Dragon ranking, but he was still so confident. Lin Yu couldn't understand where Yi Chen got his confidence from. Did he really think that he could fight against Lin Yu? The latter possibility was very small. How could the other party's sect let a hot-headed person enter? Wasn't that sending him to his death? Thinking of this, Lin Yu laughed out loud. Good, you've got guts. If you can take a punch from me, I, Lin Yu, will never embarrass you again. One punch. I'll take it. Yi Chen didn't intend to fight head-on with the other party because he wasn't confident that he could kill the other party. Of course, the other party wouldn't be able to kill him either. Clang. As soon as the hidden cloud sword was unsheathed, Yi Chen's aura changed. An astonishing sharpness gathered, condensed, sublimated, and transformed. His whole body was like a divine sword that was about to be unsheathed, piercing through the void. What a sharp sword aura. No, there seems to be a hint of sword intent. Could it be that this person has already comprehended sword intent? Lin Yu didn't really believe that Yi Chen had already comprehended sword intent. He thought that it was some kind of change brought about by the special sword art he had been practicing. Therefore, he let out a great shout and launched a punch. Break. The mountain-heavy punch hadn't even hit the ground yet, but the ground had already cracked and collapsed. The surrounding walls let out a series of creaking noises, and then broke into pieces. This punch was powerful enough to kill an ordinary early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and break a 100-meter-tall hill. Yi Chen's hair and clothes fluttered in the air, as if he would be blown away and shattered by the punch at any moment. His eyes were sharp, and he launched the hidden cloud sword. Puff! A thin sword mark appeared in the air, extending straight towards the punch. At that moment, all the crystal lamps in the hall seemed to have lost their colors, and the only thing left in the hall was that sword mark. Pop! Pop! The sound of the explosion resounded for hundreds of times, and the frequency of the explosion was so high that it could even penetrate people's eardrums. After that, the two of them were both sent flying backwards. Sword intent, it's really the sword intent. Lin Yu steadied his body, and his face was filled with amazement. While he was still flying backwards, Yi Chen had already skillfully sheathed his sword, lightly landed on the ground, raised his head and said, "Thank you for letting me win." Lin Yu responded, "I'm a man of my word, I won't embarrass you anymore. But don't think that you can do whatever you want with only the sword intent." In the last Hidden Dragon ranking competition, there were a few disciples who had comprehended the sword intent, but none of them were invincible. Of course I know that. Yi Chen wasn't stupid enough to think that the sword intent was everything, and that he could easily kill Lin Yu. There were 3,000 great Daos, and the sword intent was only one of them, and the sword intent was only a sublimation of the sword art. It didn't mean that Yi Chen was qualified to look down upon the whole world. After all those powerful martial artists were extremely powerful, and none of them could surpass their own cultivation levels. Patter, patter, patter. Yi Chen and Lin Yu didn't intend to continue the fight. Just when they were about to open 2 of the 3 doors, they heard faint footsteps coming from the other side of the door. The footsteps were very rhythmic, from the beginning to the end, and then to the beginning again, the same time, as if the footsteps were both intentional and natural. If one had to describe it with one word, it would be copy. Indeed, only copy could perfectly explain the rhythm of the footsteps. Although they hadn't seen the person yet, both Yi Chen and Lin Yu's expressions changed. This guy is very powerful, and his footsteps seem familiar. Lin Yu knitted his eyebrows, trying his best to recall. In the next moment, Lin Yu exclaimed in a low voice, "It's the young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing." The young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing. Soon, information about Yin Wuqing emerged in Yi Chen's mind. Yin Wuqing was the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Nation's Rank 7 institution, the Brute Devil Martial School, ranked 4 to 5th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. Among the 13 Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists from the 9 nations, he was one of the 2 who hadn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet. I thought this guy hasn't reached the Clasping Yuan realm yet? Yi Chen had been wondering about this for a long time. Luo Hanshan had told him that the top 50 of the Hidden Dragon ranking were all Clasping Yuan realm martial artists, but how did Yin Wuqing manage to get into the top 50? Lin Yu asked confusedly, "Haven't you heard about the young Master Devil, Yin Wuqing? Even early Clasping Yuan realm martial artists are afraid of him. Even the Bloodless Blade, Mo Wuxue, and the Killing Eagle wouldn't dare to confront him face to face." Yi Chen shook his head. He had just reached the Clasping Yuan realm not long ago, so he didn't know much about the outside world. Perhaps, the 4 young masters of the Windy Nation would know more about him. The Brute Devil Martial School is the same as the Evil Blood Martial School. They're both evil martial institutions. Their disciples practice evil martial arts, and the martial art that Yin Wuqing practices is even more special. It's called the Earth Devil Body Refining Art. It focuses on the cultivation of the body, making the body as tough as iron, impervious to all kinds of weapons, and impervious to fire and water. Apart from this, the progress of the martial artist who practices this martial art will be very slow, but with every step, the martial artist's power will rise at an incredible speed. With this Earth Devil Body Refining Art, Yin Wuqing managed to defeat a few early Clasping Yuan realm martial artists in the Hidden Dragon ranking, and won the 45th place. Although we've all reached the Clasping Yuan realm now, no one dares to underestimate him. Yi Chen asked, "May I know the rank of this Earth Devil Body Refining Art?" Lin Yu responded, "I heard it's a mid-rank Earth realm martial art." A mid-rank Earth realm martial art? No wonder, it's even a rank higher than my Pure Jade body boosting spell. It seems that the martial art that our leader Luo Xinglia practices is only a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Yi Chen thought. The footsteps stopped, and a young man's silhouette appeared in their line of sight. The young man was neither too tall nor too short, he was tall and slim, and even looked a bit scrawny. However, in Yi Chen and Lin Yu's eyes, this young man gave off a strong feeling that he was invincible, as if he himself was a weapon. "Lin Yu, are you trying to stop me?" The young man coldly stared at Lin Yu. Lin Yu laughed out loud and responded, "How could I dare to stop the young Master Devil? There are 3 doors here, let's each take one." "What? Is he qualified?" Yin Wuqing's eyes fell on Yi Chen. Lin Yu shook his head. "Don't underestimate him, he has already attained the sword intent. Just now, he and I exchanged a move, and it ended in a draw." "Ah, he's qualified then." Yin Wuqing was a bit surprised. People who had attained the sword intent were all powerful, and he had already seen it during the Hidden Dragon rank competition. Therefore, he would not underestimate him. "Let's mind our own business. Otherwise, I, Lin Yu, would never be afraid of anyone." While speaking, Lin Yu walked towards the middle door. The young Master Devil walked towards the right door. Yi Chen didn't care which door he chose, because before he opened it, no one would know what was inside. "Hey!" On the other side, Lin Yu slightly raised his voice. In front of the door, an invisible screen was blocking his way, preventing him from opening it. "Break!" Lin Yu threw out a punch, and a strong fist power condensed into a solid shape, striking on the invisible screen. Buzz! The screen didn't break, but ripples spread out. Lin Yu didn't believe it. He boosted up all of his Jin Qi and threw out 3 punches in a row. Bang bang bang! The invisible screen vibrated intensely, twisting and showing signs of breaking. After that, Lin Yu threw out the 4th punch and shattered the screen. On the other side, the young Master Devil sneered. He reached out his smooth, jade-like palm and clenched his fist. He didn't release even a little bit of Jin Qi, but directly punched on the invisible screen. Pop! A large part of the invisible screen was dented. Before it bounced back, It was punched for the second time, then the third time. Before the fourth punch was launched, Yin Wuqing grabbed the dented part of the screen with both of his hands and tore it apart. Bang! The invisible screen was torn apart by Yin Wuqing. Even Yi Chen was shocked by his great strength, and silently thought that he couldn't compete with Yin Wuqing at all. When the two of them walked into the door, Yi Chen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and hit the same spot 3 times in a row. Puff! The invisible screen was punctured and disappeared. Carrying the iron spear on his back and holding the sword in his right hand, Yi Chen opened the door and walked in. There was nothing in the room except for a black coffin, which was placed in the middle of the room. Is this a tomb? Yi Chen had a bad feeling, because the coffin gave him a weird feeling, as if there was something horrible in it. Ah! At this moment, a raging roar came from Lin Yu's room. Followed by an earth-shaking sound of fighting, which even shook the entire room and hall. Creak! The thick lid of the coffin suddenly moved a little bit to the side, showing a crack. From the crack, 2 beams of green light darted out like ghosts. Chapter 145. Yi Chen frowned inwardly. These 2 beams of green light gave him an evil feeling, full of evil and cruelty. Plus, they also carried a numbing power that made his hands and feet feel weak. But he was a martial artist who had learned the sword intent after all, which made him invincible. He snorted and cut off the connection with the green light. Crack! The lid of the coffin suddenly flew up, and a human figure stood up from inside. Cut! Yi Chen reacted quickly and threw out a sword attack. Clang! Sparks splashed out, but this sharp sword attack failed to cut open the body of the man. Aoo! The human figure let out a wolf howl as he bounced on his knees, jumping towards Yi Chen at lightning speed. His 2 arms pulled back and released, stabbing out like 2 sharp blades. The room was very dark, and there was no light source. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen could still see the face and body shape of the man. He was shocked when he saw the man's face. It was not a man at all, but a black-colored zombie. The zombie's shriveled body was scrunched up, shining with a metallic luster. Its green eyes had lost all human emotions, only cruelty, strangeness, bloodthirstiness, cruelty, and all the evil things in the world could be seen in those eyes. The zombie's movement was a bit stiff, but its explosive speed was quite fast. Yi Chen leaned to the side and moved 10 meters away. In the next moment, the hard wall was punctured and torn apart. The zombie tilted its head and locked its evil green eyes on Yi Chen. Of course, Yi Chen did not show any mercy. He waved the hidden cloud sword, and 2 sharp sword chi shot out, one from the left and one from the right, aiming at the zombie's eyes. Since he had comprehended the sword intent, his attacking speed and power had been greatly improved, and he was no weaker than an early clasping Yuan realm warrior. It was able to react in an extremely short period of time. Its shriveled head tilted back slightly, dodging the sword chi on the left. As for the other sword chi, it missed its eyes due to the target's movement and struck its cheek instead. A few sparks flew out, and the zombie's cheek was cut open. What kind of zombie is this? Even the sword chi couldn't hurt it. Yi Chen clearly saw that when the sword chi cut the zombie's cheek, there was a green light, which blocked most of the attack power. Roar! The zombie felt dizzy after being hit by the sword chi. Without thinking, it opened its horrifying, stinky mouth and spat out a ball of green light towards Yi Chen. The wall was instantly corroded, and the smell of the green gas was nauseating. Yi Chen was forced out of the room and returned to the luxurious hall. He turned his head sideways and found that both Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing were there, and their opponents were zombies as well. What bad luck, to actually encounter a martial zombie here. Lin Yu's sleeves were torn, and his clothes were a bit messy. Just now, when he walked into the coffin, he didn't find anything, so he directly opened the coffin lid. Unexpectedly, a zombie suddenly jumped out from the coffin, and its 2 arms nearly pierced through his chest. If he hadn't activated a defensive skill before, he would have been dead by now. Martial zombies? Yi Chen was a bit confused. Yin Wuqing explained, under special circumstances, a martial artist's Jin Qi won't dissipate after he or she dies. Instead, it will mix with the corpse Qi, and after a long time, the corpses of these martial artists will become immortal. However, if a living human comes to this place at this time, the rich Shen-Qi contained in these corpses will cause the corpses of these martial artists to change into martial zombies, and they will become bloodthirsty martial zombies. Martial zombies are extremely strong, and are almost invulnerable. In terms of physical strength, martial zombies are even more powerful than demonic beasts at the same level. If I'm not wrong, these 3 martial zombies used to be early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, and after they become martial zombies, they will become 5th grade martial zombies. However, they haven't been able to control the corpse chi contained in their bodies yet. Lin Yu nodded and said, "It's said that the ghost artist, one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult, was a martial zombie. However, he was different from ordinary martial zombies, because of some special reasons, he regained his intelligence, and became even more cunning and insidious than human beings. What's more, as a martial zombie, he was able to turn living martial artists into martial zombies. According to him, those martial zombies were called elite corpses. From high to low, they were called iron plate corpses, bronze plate corpses, silver plate corpses, gold plate corpses, and so on. The ghost artist was a martial zombie. This was the first time for Yi Chen to hear about such a thing, but he had heard about bronze plate corpses. When he was helping the Ling family to complete a mission in the Red Blood Forest, he and his family ran into some ghost guards under the ghost artist's command. One of the ghost guards had even threatened to turn Yi Chen into a bronze plate corpse. Martial zombies are coming out, be careful, don't let them hurt you, or you'll be infected by the corpse poison. While speaking, Lin Yu's clothes fluttered in the air even though there was no wind. He abruptly launched a punch, and the fierce fist power transformed into a huge cauldron, pressing towards the martial zombie in the middle. Clang! The room-sized Jinqi cauldron weighed over 1,000 kilograms, directly pressing the martial zombie into the ground. The martial zombie couldn't even crawl out for a short while, and could only let out shrill screams. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Yin Wuqing restrained his Zhenqi, formed a sawtooth-shaped, dark purple light ring on the edge of his palm. He moved as fast as a bolt of lightning, and fiercely hacked on the neck of the other martial zombie. This palm strike was way too sharp and powerful, it sent the martial zombie flying away, bumping against the wall. A wound was left on the neck, but no blood was spilled out. Aoo! The last martial zombie bent its knees and sprung up, darting straight towards Yi Chen, who was holding the hidden cloud sword and standing motionlessly. "I've been waiting for you, startling cloud." Yi Chen raised the hidden cloud sword high with his right hand and injected waves of Zhenqi into the sword. The strong sword aura released from the sword made the surrounding airflow spin at a high speed. Cut! Yi Chen swung the sword out. An incomparably thick stream of sword qi, which looked like a gigantic pair of scissors, sliced the air open and accurately hit the martial zombie from its chest to its neck. Puff! Iron-like minced meat flew in the air, and a bone-deep slash appeared on the martial zombie's chest. Its solid body was instantly lifted up from the ground and heavily smashed against a stone pillar. The stone pillar collapsed, and the martial zombie's body was pressed under a huge rock. The Zhenqi cauldron shook violently. Lin Yu gave a bitter smile and said, "I can't." Although these few martial zombies can't control their corpse chi at will, their defensive power and strength are all at the same level as 5th-rank martial zombies. It's impossible to kill them within a short period of time, I can only barely push them back. Yin Wuqing said coldly, "Martial zombies are incredibly powerful. A 7th-rank martial zombie raised by our barbarian devil martial school once killed an early astral-reaching realm martial artist." Everyone knew that the barbarian devil martial school had been raising martial zombies, and Yin Wuqing wasn't afraid of the consequences. Not to mention that the comprehensive power of the barbarian devil martial school was even greater than that of the evil blood martial school. As one of the top rank 7 martial institutions, ordinary rank 7 martial institutions couldn't be compared with them. Looking at the martial zombie that crawled out from the pile of rocks, Yi Chen felt helpless for the first time. He hesitated whether he should use the heart refining or not, but after thinking for a while, he decided not to. This was not a life or death moment, there was no need for him to expose his most powerful martial skill. Not to mention that he was sure that Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing also had their most powerful martial skills that they hadn't used yet. Besides, even if he used the heart refining, he might not be able to kill the martial zombie, it would at most injure it severely. If he used the heart refining for a few more times, it would consume too much of his spiritual power, which was not wise. Explode. On the other side, Lin Yu couldn't suppress the martial zombie any longer. He made a prompt decision and cast a secret magic to explode his Jinqi cauldron. The fierce airwaves generated by the explosion shook the entire hall, fist-sized rocks fell down from the ceiling, and quite a few crystal lamps were extinguished. The martial zombie that had just crawled up from the ground couldn't help but be thrown into the air, landing beside the dead body of the martial artist. Crack, crack. What happened next was shocking. The martial zombie tore off the arm of the dead martial artist, threw it into its mouth and started chewing. Blood splashed everywhere, and sharp teeth-grinding noises resounded through the entire hall. The other two martial zombies were also attracted by this. They grabbed a dead martial artist and started gnawing on it. Yin Wuqing's facial expression changed. Don't let them eat enough blood and meat. Once they have enough power, they will become real 5th-grade martial zombies, and they will be able to release their corpse chi to attack their enemies, just like normal martial artists. Kill. While speaking, Yin Wuqing had already rushed over. Bean-sized, faintly discernible black scales emerged on his white skin, which looked even more terrifying than martial zombies. He looked just like a human-shaped killing machine. Bang! The martial zombie that was closest to Yin Wuqing was sent flying away once it touched Yin Wuqing's body. It was punched and kicked 4 times in the air, making it howl in pain. Dual cauldron competition. Lin Yu understood the severity of the situation. A cyan-yellow stream of Zhenqi burst out from his body and rose into the air. He then clenched his fists and quickly closed them. Boom! The 2 room-sized cauldrons encircled the martial zombie, which had been happily eating, and fiercely clashed against each other. Waves of shockwaves spread out in all directions, tearing all surrounding corpses into pieces. Perhaps it had eaten quite a lot of corpses. A green stream of Zhenqi burst out from this martial zombie's body, shielding it in the middle. Nevertheless, the 2 cauldrons clashed against each other, adding up and shaking each other, crazily damaging the martial zombie's body. In this case, I have no choice but to slowly wear down the martial zombie's defense. Although he couldn't use the heart refining, Yi Chen still had another sword move. This sword move might not be as powerful as the shocking cloud sword art, but after a long period of research, he had found a new use for it. Therefore, he might as well try it on the martial zombie first. Thinking of this, the sharp aura released from Yi Chen's body grew stronger and stronger, along with a faint sense of mountain power. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen launched a seemingly slow but actually fast sword move. Mountain condensed sword chi. Boom! Not only did the sword chi that was as thick as a mountain send the martial zombie flying, it even pinned it against the wall, unable to move. What was even more frightening was that the sword chi did not dissipate. Instead, it continued to grind against the martial zombie's chest, again and again, endlessly. What kind of sword move is this? Seeing the sword chi continuously wearing down the martial zombie's defense, Lin Yu couldn't help but gasp in shock. Yin Wuqing also glanced at Yi Chen in surprise. Before, he had only acknowledged Yi Chen's power and didn't want to become enemies with him, but now, he truly didn't want to be enemies with Yi Chen anymore. He thought that Yi Chen had already exhausted all of his abilities, but unexpectedly, Yi Chen also had more powerful skills than them, and who knew whether he had more powerful skills or not? This man can't be underestimated. That was Yin Wuqing's thought. The martial zombie struggled intensely, however, the mountain-heavy sword chi had disabled it from moving, and it could only let itself be slaughtered by Yi Chen. Chapter 146. Yi Chen, who had been maintaining the posture of wielding the sword, couldn't stand it any longer. This stream of sword chi was connected with his own Jin chi, and every second, he would consume a great amount of Jin chi. Of course, if he and that martial zombie were the only ones here, he would be able to kill that martial zombie at one go. But sadly, he was not. He couldn't guarantee that no accidents would happen when he ran out of Jin chi. Yi Chen took back the hidden cloud sword, and the mountain-like stream of sword chi finally disappeared. The martial zombie, which had been squeezed into the wall, was in an extremely miserable state. Its body was nearly cut into two by the sword chi, and its pitch-black internal organs and spine were clearly visible. Aoo! The martial zombie let out a shrill roar, and streams of green airflow burst out from its pitch-black bones and muscles, trying its best to close and reconnect its broken chest. How can I let you get what you want? Yi Chen took out the iron spear from his back, then stomped his foot against the ground and darted out, transforming into a blood-red stream of light. Boom! The spear directly nailed on the broken chest of the martial zombie, and a raging flame instantly wrapped the martial zombie up, turning it into a human-shaped torch. Crackle! The flame seemed to have a restraining effect on the body of the martial zombie. As Yi Chen continued injecting his Jin Qi into the spear, the flame on the spear grew stronger and stronger, and the temperature grew higher and higher. Even the martial zombie's bones and muscles began to soften, like a candle, with sticky liquid dripping down from it. Yi Chen's eyes shone. Just now, he had been thinking that the flame might be able to restrain the martial zombie, but he didn't expect it to be so effective. It was even more effective than a full-strength sword attack of his. However, ordinary Jin Qi flames shouldn't be this powerful, most likely because the iron spear was a low-grade great treasure, and the flame power contained in it was even more powerful. Thinking of this, Yi Chen didn't have any other thoughts. He gripped the iron spear with both of his hands, and pinned the martial zombie against the wall. Oh. The martial zombie had already suffered a severe injury, and at the moment, its body was burning with a raging flame. Instantly, it howled like a wolf, and the sound waves spread out in all directions. Damn, martial zombies are afraid of fire, so that's why. Lin Yu pondered for a while, then took out a handful of orange-yellow explosive pills from his pocket. Explosive pills weren't very powerful, even if the explosion range was very close, it could only injure an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and couldn't kill him instantly. Compared to the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb, however, compared to the latter, explosive pills were the most commonly used weapons nowadays. The reason was simple: explosive pills could be produced in small quantities, while the manufacturing methods of the silver light thunderbolt bomb and the red light fireball bomb had long been lost in history. The Sky Cloud Martial School had almost used up all the silver light thunderbolt bomb that Luo Hanshan had brought back last time, and they would never have another one in the future. Neither would they be able to produce another one, unless they could find an ancient ruin, and find a silver light thunderbolt bomb. But of course, explosive pills weren't easy to find. Among the 9 nations, only a few institutions had the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, and the Dragon Tiger Martial School, where Lin Yu was from, was one of them. If the other institutions wanted explosive pills, they would have to buy them at a high price. As for robbing the manufacturing methods of explosive pills, they would rarely happen. After all, the Dragon Tiger Martial School was a mid-grade rank 7 institution. Even if a top-grade rank 7 institution wanted to rob them, they would have to prepare to die together with them. Otherwise, the other institutions would take advantage of the situation. However, a rank 6 institution wouldn't destroy a rank 7 institution just for the manufacturing methods of explosive pills. Perhaps, they had even more powerful weapons. After all, the power of a rank 6 institution was beyond anyone's imagination. While the zombie was howling, Lin Yu reacted quickly and threw a handful of explosive pills towards it. The howling stopped abruptly. Except for a few explosive pills, most of the explosive pills were swallowed by the zombie. Bang, 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 almost instantaneously, a series of explosive sounds came from inside and outside the zombie's body. In the next moment, wisps of fiery light darted out from the zombie's eyes, nose, mouth, along with puffs of smoke. Yin Wuqing paused for a second. He didn't have any fire attribute low-grade treasured weapon, neither did he have any explosive pills. It seemed that he could only rely on his physical strength to solve this problem. Without thinking too much, Yin Wuqing took out a pair of gloves made of black silk from his clothes, which were shining with a cold light. He put them on and activated his Jin Qi. Immediately, a curved, dark purple Jin Qi blade emerged from the glove, sticking closely to the edge of his palm. This pair of gloves were low-grade treasured weapons given to him by their leader, the gold-splitting gloves. He rarely used them before, because he believed that his physical strength was more than enough. Earth Devil's body-shattering cut. Yin Wuqing moved as fast as a bolt of lightning and launched a hack on the zombie's neck. The cut on the zombie's neck had already healed a lot, leaving only a shallow cut on the zombie's neck. But now, the zombie's neck was sliced open by Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing. Lin Yu and Yin Wuqing's moves were seen by Yi Chen. He gave a faint smile and injected his Jun Qi into the iron spear, firmly suppressing the zombie. No matter how hard the zombie roared, it couldn't move even a little bit. A small half of its iron-hard bones and muscles had already melted, and the zombie had lost its human shape. Explode. The situation was already set. Yi Chen swallowed a Jun Qi replenishing pill, then flicked his wrist. Following his move, a raging flame burst out from the zombie's body. Clatter. The zombie's badly mutilated body fell on the ground and turned into a pile of melted meat. You two, I'll be going now. Yi Chen didn't have a close relationship with these two, neither did he plan to explore the tomb together. Once he killed the zombie with a single spear attack, he immediately wanted to separate from them. Haha, this tomb is vast, it's better for us to separate. Lin Yu was about to kill the zombie for good. Hearing Yin Wuqing, he laughed out loud and didn't seem to care. Yin Wuqing didn't say anything. In fact, if he killed the zombie first, he would definitely make the same choice as Yi Chen. This tomb was vast, and there were many treasures in it. Alright, see you later. Flashing across the air, Yi Chen darted into one of the tunnels and disappeared. Lin Yu took back his sight and said to Yin Wuqing, "This year's Hidden Dragon ranking competition will probably have many changes. Yin Wuqing, your cultivation is a bit low. You'd better figure out a way to keep your position. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region is one of the 4 great inherited ancient places in the South Shore region. The other 3 places are controlled by institutions from other countries. Once they are opened one by one, many people will break into the clasping Yuan realm." Yin Wuqing said blandly. "You're right, the Hidden Dragon ranking has its ups and downs, but this year is the most prosperous one. All kinds of powerful martial geniuses have gathered here, and without great abilities, no one can beat all of their peers." The tunnels in the tomb were connected to all directions. On the way, Yi Chen saw many dead bodies of disciples from different institutions. Some of them had killed each other, some had their brains eaten by some unknown creatures, and some had been slapped on the walls and turned into a pile of bloody meat. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region opens once every 10 years, and every time it opens, it's not only an opportunity, but also a fatal disaster. Before, at least half of the people could come out alive, but this time, it's already not bad if only half of them can come out alive. No wonder people say that powerful martial artists walk on mountains of corpses and oceans of blood, and they've killed countless people. Yi Chen sighed slightly. In this world that was filled with powerful martial artists, only by growing stronger step by step could one protect himself. Those ordinary people seemed to live a peaceful life, and stood aloof from worldly affairs, but when faced with natural disasters, how could they have the power to protect themselves? But of course, even without these reasons, Yi Chen wouldn't want to live an ordinary life. The world of martial artists was just the tip of the iceberg, and he hadn't seen anything interesting yet. In his eyes, if he couldn't live a vigorous life, it would be such a pity. Besides, there was a famous saying in the world where he came from, "Live as a hero, and die as a hero." No matter where he was, he had to live an exciting life. Unknowingly, Yi Chen arrived in front of a huge tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, there was a stone gate, and on both sides of the gate stood 2 ferocious-looking stone beasts. The stone beasts' heads were flat, and there were 2 burning candles on their heads, releasing a faint fiery light. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen pulled out the hidden cloud sword and walked towards the gate step by step. Swoosh! Suddenly, a small black shadow darted out from a small hole on the side. It flashed a cold light, and attacked towards Yi Chen's face. Die! Yi Chen had a sharp sense of danger. He pierced the black shadow's head with his sword. Puff! The black shadow fell on the ground, let out a shrill scream, and ran away. There are so many weird things in this tomb. Yi Chen had already seen the black shadow's appearance clearly. It was a monkey-like, skinny, hairless monster. Yi Chen's sword strike had only left a deep sword mark on the monster's face. It didn't kill it completely. After that, another 7 or 8 monkey-like monsters attacked Yi Chen, but all of them were wounded and ran away. However, the strange screams they made before they ran away made the tunnel even weirder. When he was only 30 steps away from the gate, Yi Chen stopped and swung his sword sideways. The sword chi, which was strong enough to make a candle flame lose its color, hit on the relief on the wall. Crack! The relief was shattered, and an even bigger monkey-like monster darted out. There was a deep sword mark on its chest. Demonic beast. Zombie. If Yi Chen had guessed it right, both the monkey-like monsters from before and the one in front of him were zombies that had been sealed on the wall. Once they smelled the blood of a living person, they would break out of the wall and start eating human flesh. This monkey-like monster had a huge body. It was more than 3 meters tall. There was no hair on its body, and its skinny skin was as hard as iron. It was very hard for sword chi to kill it. Letting out a horrifying scream, the monkey-like monster attacked towards Yi Chen with its claw. Puff! It was fast, but Yi Chen was even faster. The iron spear on his back jumped out, and was grabbed by Yi Chen, who then stabbed it into the monkey-like monster's open mouth. Explode! 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 The explosion was heard, and the monkey-like monster was pushed back. The skin on its face was melted by the red flame, and it could not fight back at all. Yi Chen put more power into his arm, and pushed the monkey-like monster back into the wall with the iron spear, burning it alive. Seeing that the monkey-like monster was dead, Yi Chen pulled out his iron spear and walked to the stone door. There was a handle mechanism next to the stone door. Yi Chen grabbed the handle and pushed it down. Rumble. The stone door opened, and there was a secret room inside. There was a bookshelf on one side of the secret room, and there were a few secret manuals on the bookshelf. Yi Chen walked straight to the bookshelf, and picked up one of the manuals. Burning Sun Heart Ripping Claw, Low-Rank Earth Realm Claw Art, has the power to melt gold and iron. He picked up another one. Black Yin Finger, Low-Rank Earth Realm Finger Art. With one finger, the enemy's blood will freeze, and their meridians will be damaged. Chapter 147. There were a total of 3 low-rank Earth Realm manuals and 5 top-rank Mortal Realm manuals. If he were to exchange them with the sect, it would be 9,250 low-rank Spirit Stones, which was almost equivalent to all of Yi Chen's Spirit Stone savings. It was undoubtedly a huge fortune. Putting away the manuals, Yi Chen looked around. On the other side of the wall, there was a foot-long yellow gourd, tied with a red string. With a wave of his hand, the yellow gourd fell into Yi Chen's hand. He shook it, and a small friction sound came from the gourd. Pellet! Without thinking, Yi Chen opened the cork of the gourd. Instantly, a fragrant smell came into his nose. Pouring one into his hand, Yi Chen took a closer look. The pellet was the size of a pinky finger, and it was crystal clear with a hint of yellow. There was a faint glow on the surface, and the fragrance was even more intense. Just by taking a breath of the fragrance, the Zhen Qi in his body had improved. Although he could not recognize the name and function of the pellet, Yi Chen knew that it was definitely not an ordinary item. After putting away the manuals and the pellet, there was nothing else in the secret chamber. Yi Chen let out a breath and walked out. The tomb was unimaginably large. The passageways inside extended in all directions. It was impossible to tell how many forks there were. It was like a maze. At first, he was curious, but as time went by, Yi Chen got tired of it. Anyone would be annoyed if they were to wander around in the winding tunnels. Plus, there were not as many treasures in this tomb as he had imagined. It was already commendable for Yi Chen to be able to find a secret chamber. After walking through a tunnel, a sword light suddenly shot out from the side. Courting death. Yi Chen did not even look at it as he twisted his sword back. Poochie. A martial disciple fell to the ground with his hands on his neck, his eyes wide open. Taking a low-rank Earth Realm manual from the disciple, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. This person should have been trapped in the tomb as well, and could not get out. Unfortunately, at this moment, Not only did he not find a way out, but he also killed people for their treasures. He deserved to die. On the other side of the tomb. Rumble. A wall collapsed. Lin Yu growled in a low voice, "Damn it. Where the hell is the exit?" His luck wasn't as good as Yi Chen's. He only got 1 low-rank Earth Realm manual and 3 or 4 peak-rank Human Realm manuals from the disciples who were trapped in the tomb. He didn't get anything else. When he wanted to go out, he realized that he couldn't find the way back, and was completely trapped in the tomb. "I don't believe there are many walls in front of me." When Lin Yu became determined, he didn't care about anything else and kept walking in a straight line. No matter how many walls there were, he would smash them down. Compared to Yi Chen and Lin Yu, Yin Wuqing seemed to be much calmer. He took out a small and delicate wooden mouse from his bosom and embedded a low-grade spirit stone into its abdomen. Creak. The wooden mouse turned and ran in the other direction. Following closely behind the wooden mouse, Yin Wuqing quickly arrived at the intersection where he came from. There was also a wooden mouse. The 2 wooden mice were together. The lovesick mice are indeed more clever than humans. Putting away the 2 wooden mice, Yin Wuqing walked into the giant whirlpool and disappeared. 2 hours had passed. Hard work paid off. Yi Chen finally found the exit. Although it wasn't the entrance where he came from, he didn't have the time to think about it. He stepped into the whirlpool. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hearing the sound of wind, Yi Chen opened his eyes and saw nothing but emptiness around him. There seemed to be no end to it, and the misty clouds had gathered together. Lowering his head, he saw that the ground was getting bigger and bigger in his sight. He was in the air. This exit was indeed amazing. Activating the crane shadow steps, Yi Chen's body instantly became much lighter. He shook his arms and glided towards the highland far away. In front of the highland was a huge basin. In the middle of the basin, a fierce battle was taking place. 3 disciples were surrounding another disciple, and blood was spattering on the grassland. "Yuan Hunkong, I've given you everything, don't go too far." The disciple who was being surrounded was wearing a blue robe. It was Lu Han's Han. The leading disciple laughed out proudly and said, "I want everything. I want to kill you as well. What can you do to me? You can only blame yourself for being too weak. You're just taking advantage of the fact that you're outnumbered. If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. If I die, I'll deserve it. If you lose, I won't kill you. What do you think?" Lu Hanshan's eyes were gloomy. He knew that the situation was not in his favor. If he tried to save face, he would only end up dead. The only thing he could do was to hope that his opponent would accept his challenge and have a fair fight with him, so that he could find an opportunity to escape. As for killing this guy, he had never thought about it. This guy was Yuan Henjing's blood brother, who was known as the Eagle Killer. Yuan Henjing had always been protective of his people. Not to mention his brother, even if you killed a dog or a chicken, he would still kill your whole family. Yuan Hunkong said scornfully, "Do you think I'm an idiot if I don't take advantage of you? Cut the crap, kill him." The 3 of them each launched their own attacks towards Lu Han's Han. East Rising Purple Chi, Great Monument Suppression. Facing 3 disciples who were just as powerful as him, Lu Han's Han boosted his Jin Chi to its limit, drew a bridge-like stream of purple mist from the air, and boosted his power to a great extent. After that, he threw out a gigantic purple monument to protect himself. Bang! 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 The attacks launched by the 3 disciples were incomparably violent. The purple monument shook violently, and countless cracks appeared on it. Break! As a core disciple of the Sky Eagle Castle, which was a rank 7 institution, although Yuan Hunkong was not as powerful as his brother, he was definitely one of the most powerful martial artists under the clasping Yuan realm. He held a pair of purple golden hammers with both of his hands, and heavily smashed on the monument. Crack! The monument was shattered, and blood gushed out of the corner of Lu Hanshan's mouth. Die! Yuan Hunkong laughed out loud, while swinging his hammers towards Lu Hanshan's head. Piss off! Lu Hanshan's eyes popped out, and he threw a punch towards the purple golden hammers. Clang! Fire sparks flew in all directions, and a strong shockwave spread out, even leaving a deep layer of grass on the ground. Right at this moment, another disciple took the opportunity to sneak up behind Lu Hanshan, ripped his protective Zhenqi apart, and pressed his palm on his back. Puff! Lu Hanshan let out a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. He had suffered a serious internal injury. Let's see how you are going to take this. Yuan Hongkong's face twisted. He took a step forward and leapt high into the air, while his purple golden hammers burst out with a dazzling golden light, once again smashing towards Lu Hanshan. Puff! At this critical moment, a beam of sword qi darted over from afar, and hacked on Yuan Hongkong's purple golden hammers. The purple golden hammers flew out of Yuan Hongkong's hands, and Yuan Hongkong was greatly shocked. He stepped back once his feet landed on the ground, and regrouped with the other two disciples. Lu Hanshan turned around, and said in surprise, "Brother Yi." A disciple lightly landed beside Lu Hanshan, and that was indeed Yi Chen. He glanced at Lu Hanshan, who was badly injured, frowned and said, "Brother Luo, you are injured. Compared to my life, a little injury is nothing." Seeing Yi Chen, Lu Hanshan secretly let out a sigh of relief. If the two of them joined hands, their chances of survival would be greatly increased. At least they wouldn't be able to do anything to them. Not to mention that he didn't know how powerful Yi Chen was, he could sense that Yi Chen's aura of sharpness was even more powerful than before. He estimated that Yi Chen had already reached the level of the North Snow Fast Blade Lynch. Yuan Hongkong glanced at Yi Chen, and found that he was only at the late condensing reality realm. He grinned viciously and said, "Another one who wants to die. Just now, you knocked away my purple golden hammers. I am going to smash your head, tear you into 5 pieces, and scatter them on this basin. Brother Yuan, he has a low-rank great weapon, kill him and take it." Indeed, look at the bulging big bag around his waist, there must be a lot more treasures. Yuan Hongkong picked up the purple golden hammers from the ground and said, "What's the rush? In my eyes, this guy is already a dead man. As for treasures, I can share some with you." "Thank you, Brother Yuan." Yi Chen sneered and said, "If you can take one sword attack from me, I will spare your lives." "Arrogant. How dare you? How dare you? We will kill you." The three of them showed an intense killing intent. They pushed their Zhenqi to its limit and rushed towards Yi Chen. Cut. Taking a step forward with his left foot, Yi Chen swung his sword down. Puff. A thick stream of sword qi flashed across the waists of the 3 disciples, leaving a 10-meter-long and meter-deep sword mark on the grassland behind them. Grass chips and mud flew up into the air. In the next moment, the bodies of the 3 disciples were cut in half and scattered on the ground. What? He killed 3 disciples with 1 sword attack. Lu Hanshan was so excited that he started coughing. Although he knew that Yi Chen was very powerful, he didn't think that he could be this powerful. He had killed 3 disciples who were at the same level as him with 1 sword attack. This was not something that Lynch could compete with. Even 3 Lynchs wouldn't be able to do this. However, Yi Chen hadn't even reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. How could he be so powerful? No, that sword attack just now seemed to have absorbed all of my soul and spirit, as if it was the only thing left in the world. Could it be that Brother Yi Chen has already mastered the sword intent that all sword artists dream of? Brother Yi, was that the sword intent? Lu Hanshan hurriedly asked. Yi Chen nodded. It was indeed the sword intent. Haha, no wonder you could kill 3 people with 1 sword attack. A sword artist who has mastered the sword intent can challenge people who are at a higher level as easily as eating or drinking. This is not something that ordinary people can imagine. Lu Hanshan was very happy. He was the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and everything he did was for the development of the school. Now, a peerless genius had emerged in the school, which would definitely make the Sky Cloud Martial School even more powerful in the future. But you killed Yuanheng Ying's brother. This is not a simple thing. After the joy, Lu Hanshan started to worry. Yuanheng Ying, the killer eagle, was way more powerful than Yuanheng Kong. If he knew that Yi Chen had killed his brother, he would definitely chase after them at all costs. Although Yi Chen had mastered the sword intent and was able to kill any disciple under the clasping Yuan realm within a second, and was extremely powerful, he might still not be able to rival Yuanheng Ying. Yi Chen said, "There's no one here anyway, It's not a big deal to kill him. You're right, let's get out of here as soon as possible. Lu Hanshan didn't want to stay here any longer, because he didn't want others to see them together with Yuan Hong Kong's dead body. Not long after the two of them left, a human silhouette walked out from behind a tree on the high ground in the distance. He chuckled and said, "If we run into Yuan Hong Ying, we can use this as a life-saving talisman and ask him to let us go." Chapter 148. In the lush forest. Luo Hanshan slowly let out a mouthful of foul air that contained a strong smell of blood, opened his eyes and said, "Internal injuries can't be healed within a short period of time. Fortunately, I've already recovered 70 to 80% of my power." Yi Chen said, "Don't worry, the Heavenly Dream Ancient region has just started, we can wait for a few days. This time, thanks to you, Brother Yi, otherwise, I would have lost my life." Thinking about being surrounded and killed by those people, Luo Hanshan still had a lingering fear. Yi Chen smiled and said nothing. 5 days passed in a flash. During the day, the two of them would wander around, looking for treasures, and at night, Lu Hanshan would meditate to heal his wounds, while Yi Chen would absorb the yuan qi from spirit stones, trying his best to break through to the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Early in the morning, the two of them had just come out of their meditative state when a 7-colored light soared into the sky thousands of miles to the east. It connected the heavens and the earth, piercing through the blue dome of heaven. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened," Luo Hanshan said in shock. Yi Chen nodded. The most important thing in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region was not those treasures, manuals or herbs, but the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, which could help people break through to the next level. Normally, this mysterious palace would not show up, and would only open at a certain time. Some people speculated that only those with enough blood and qi could open the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace in advance, which was not completely unreasonable. Over 100 years ago, in order to avoid losing too many of their disciples, all of those institutions signed an agreement, which stated that disciples from those institutions were not allowed to kill each other in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, or else, they would be severely punished. However, even after everyone had been sent out, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace still hadn't appeared. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has opened, Brother Luo, let's go." "All right." The two of them activated their qinggong and flew towards the 7-colored light pillar. Once the colorful light beam appeared, all the disciples from all over the Heavenly Dream Ancient region had seen it. "Haha, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace has finally opened. As long as you can get in, you will have a 10% chance of breaking into the clasping yuan realm. I have been stuck at the peak of late condensing reality realm for more than a year. This time, I have to succeed. You guys are always going against me. Wait till I reach the clasping yuan realm, I will crush you all one by one. How arrogant. Just wait and see how I kill you in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace." Whether they were exploring alone or fighting with others, most of the sect disciples put down what they were doing and rushed toward the 7-colored light pillar with all their might. The airflow was like a blade, scraping over. Yi Chen and Luo Hanshan were like two gigantic birds, flying in the air at an extremely high speed. Occasionally, they would land on top of a mountain. His ears twitching slightly, Yi Chen lowered his head and noticed the scene at the foot of the mountain. Beside the clear river, a young girl and a young man were confronting each other. The girl's forehead was covered in sweat, and there were dozens of sword marks on her clothes. The strength of these sword marks was just right, only tearing her clothes and not hurting her skin. Dozens of steps away, the young man was calm and unruffled. He held his sword in his hand and looked like he had the situation under his control. "Little beauty, your qinggong isn't bad, but it's a pity that you've met me, young Master Chun. Surrender obediently." The young man was wearing bright green clothes, and his eyes were full of arrogance and lust. His pair of cunning eyes stared at the girl's exposed skin, and he licked his lips from time to time. The girl's face was as cold as ice, and said, "I can't believe that a disciple of a big martial institution like you would do such a despicable thing. Even if you die, I won't let you off easily. Haha, in front of me, even if you want to die, it won't be that easy." The young man grinned evilly, shook the sword in his hand and thrust it out. All of a sudden, The sword light was as bright as a spring breeze, so warm that people couldn't even raise their hands. When the girl realized what was going on, a sword had already been pressed against her neck, and that cold sword edge was only half an inch away from cutting her main artery. In the air, Luo Hansan said to Yi Chen, "This man is young Master Chun, the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Country's Rank 7 institution, the Zenith Dark Cult. He is ranked 72nd in the Hidden Dragon ranking, and he likes women. God knows how many girls or female disciples from big families have been harmed by him. Only because his grandfather is the Zenith Dark Cult's head elder, he has been safe and sound all this time. Since he's a pervert, I'll just kill him." Yi Chen remained expressionless, pulled out his sword and launched a hack. Beside the river, when young Master Chun was about to move, he suddenly felt that his body had gone cold, and then he lost consciousness. The river behind him was suddenly cut off, and a tens of meters long deep sword mark appeared on the river. The girl sensed that something was wrong, so she activated her Jin Qi and leapt backwards. In the next moment, young Master Chun's body was cut in half from the middle. The cut was smooth and clean, and blood splashed out. Was there someone just now? The girl raised her head confusedly, revealing a beautiful face. It was Ji Xuan, a core disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace. In her sight, two silhouettes flashed past above her head, turning into tiny black dots within a blink of an eye. However, she soon recognized Yi Chen, because the sharp aura released from his body had become even sharper. Pursing her lips, Ji Xuan had a complicated look on her face. She still remembered what she had said to Yi Chen a year ago: "Dragons don't live with snakes, it's impossible for them to be together." But now, it seemed that it was indeed true that dragons don't live with snakes, but their roles had been completely reversed. She was the snake, and Yi Chen was the real dragon, a real dragon that was showing its true power, soaring in the sky. Thinking of this, Ji Xuan bit her lips so hard that blood started flowing out. 1,000 miles might be a long distance for ordinary people, and it would take them 10 days to half a month to get there, but for late condensing reality realm warriors, it would only take them half an hour. Stepping on the ground, Lu Hansan raised his head and looked around, then said in shock, "This colorful light beam has covered the entire lake with a radius of tens of miles. No wonder we can see it so clearly from thousands of miles away, as if it's right in front of our eyes." Yi Chen was also shocked. The colorful light beam had a diameter of tens of miles, and its height was immeasurable. It had already pierced through the sky and reached deep into the void. No one knew how far the colorful light beam had reached. It was as if the entire Heavenly Dream ancient region had been shrouded by this light beam. More and more disciples rushed over and gathered around the lake. "The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace must be under the lake, let's go down first." A core disciple from one of the institutions didn't change his direction and rushed into the colorful light beam. What happened next was horrifying. This colorful light beam was like a beam of light that could destroy the starry sky. Those disciples who had rushed into the light beam didn't even have the time to let out a scream before their bodies silently disintegrated and merged with the colorful light beam. Those who followed behind couldn't stop their bodies. Some had their arms disintegrated, some had their heads disintegrated, some had half of their bodies disintegrated, but not even a single drop of blood flowed out from the wounds. Divine light of extinction. This is the divine light of extinction. Someone yelled out. Hearing this, Lu Hansan frowned and said, "The divine light of extinction only exists in the top sky. I didn't expect that the Heavenly Dream ancient region would also have it. If it really is the divine light of extinction, even Sea of Souls realm warriors wouldn't be able to get through it. Only life and death realm warriors could rely on their defensive power to get in, but it would still be dangerous. Is this divine light of extinction really that powerful?" Yi Chen saw that the colorful light beam looked like a dream. He thought that it didn't have any destructive power. But now, it seemed that the more beautiful something was, the more destructive it would be. Lu Hansan nodded and said, "There are many kinds of yuan qi in this world. Some yuan qi can combine in pairs and form a destructive qi, and if more yuan qi is combined, it can transform into a divine light. Some of these divine lights can heal wounds, some can make people hundreds of times more energetic, and some can be even more powerful. For example, this divine light of extinction, anything that is shrouded by it will be turned into ashes, including souls, which will completely disappear from this world. While the two of them were talking, over 100 people had gathered around the lake, and the number was growing rapidly. Lu Han's Han, brother Yi. Two silhouettes flew over. They were Zhu Mai and Xu Jing. Yi Chen asked, eldest sister, senior sister Xu, are you alright? Zhu Mai grinned and said, we're lucky, we met each other not long after we were teleported in. I'm a bit ashamed, but I think I should give up my position as the eldest sister. Junior sister Xu Jing is even more powerful than I thought. Xu Jing didn't say anything. Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists are here as well. In Yi Chen's sight, Mo Wuxue, Yuan Hangying, Hong Qianjun, Wei Dongxi, and the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists had all arrived. Disciples of our Evil Blood Martial School, come here. Disciples of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School, what are you waiting for? Disciples of the Multiple Mountain Martial School, gather. Disciples of the Cyan Bamboo Martial School, as early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, the few of them gathered their disciples once they arrived. After that, all the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists followed suit. Not far behind Yi Chen, Ji Shuiyan had just arrived. She glanced at Yi Chen's back with a complicated look, then walked towards young Master Emerald, Zhuang Fei. Another half an hour later, the number of people standing around the lake had reached over 400. Except for one or two people who occasionally arrived, almost all of them had arrived. There were over 600 people when we came in, but now, only around 400 are left. Those who died were all the best disciples of their institutions. Luo Han's Han sighed. Zhu Mai said happily, our Sky Cloud Martial School is still okay, all four of us are still here. You see, some of our institutions have all lost their disciples, none of them survived, and some of our institutions only have one disciple left. A general success is built on thousands of bones. Yi Chen murmured in his head. Another half an hour later, no one else arrived. At this moment, the eagle killer Yuan Hangying suddenly growled out. Where is my brother Yuan Hengkong? Why isn't he here yet? Have any of you seen him? Have you seen my brother Yuan Hengkong? Tell me. Randomly grabbing a disciple who didn't even dare to look at him, Yuan Hangying's voice was filled with a strong killing intent. I don't know. That disciple's teeth were chattering. If you don't know, why should I keep you alive? Puff. That disciple's head was twisted off, he died an innocent death. Yi Chen, don't give yourself away. Seeing this horrible scene, Luo Hanshan's heart suddenly tightened, he sent a message to Yi Chen with his Zhenqi. Yi Chen responded blandly, Brother Luo, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Beside him, Zhu Mai said in a low voice, this guy has gone too far. How can he kill people for no reason? Does he think he can do whatever he wants just because he is powerful? Luo Han's Han gave a bitter smile. Zhu Mai was slightly more powerful than him, but she was a bit too soft. Yuan Hangying didn't go to the places where there were powerful Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists, instead, he went to the places where there were no powerful Hidden Dragon-ranked martial artists. At this moment, he had killed another disciple and was walking towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Have you seen my brother Yuan Hengkong? With blood-red eyes, Yuan Hangying glanced at the four of them and said in a cold voice. Yi Chen didn't move at all. Sorry, I have never seen him. Kid, how dare you? You can even stay so calm in front of me. It seems that you are the most suspicious one. Tell me the truth. Yuan Hangying approached Yi Chen step by step. What a joke. If you haven't seen him, then you haven't. What are you going to do? A killing intent flashed across Yi Chen's eyes, he was ready for a bloody fight. Chapter 149. Junior Brother Yi, don't be impulsive. However, if this Yuan Hangying is too aggressive, let's attack together. While talking to Yi Chen with his Zhenqi, Luo Hanshan had also informed Zhu Mai and Xu Jing, telling them to prepare for a bloody fight. At the same time, he had made up his mind that he would make Yuan Hangying bleed, even if he had to give up his own life. Zhu Mai and Xu Jing silently nodded. Their Zhenqi was ready to burst out. As soon as Yuan Hangying made his move, they would launch a thunderous attack. The scene was deathly silent, and a tragic atmosphere spread out. Mo Wuxue and the other hidden dragon rank warriors watched this scene with interest. Compared to the other martial institutions, although the Sky Cloud Martial School was relatively weak, they were quite united. It seemed like they were ready to risk their lives to fight against Yuan Hongying. Unfortunately, sometimes, risking one's life did not mean it would be useful. In front of absolute power, everything else was useless. Liu Wuxiang and Ji Shuiyan looked at Zhuang Fei with pity. Zhuang Fei said blandly, "The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is a man-eating place. Just protect yourself, don't worry about anything else." Eldest senior brother is right. Other people's business has nothing to do with us. They deserve to die. Challenging Yuan Hongying, courting death. The other core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace were gloating. In the direction of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Ming said excitedly, "Cousin, it seems like we don't need to do anything to those people from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Yuan Hongying will be able to kill them." Ouyang Lai said, "They are destined to die, but that's good, we don't have to think about how to kill them, and we can focus on entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. When the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region closes and everyone gets out, those old guys from the Sky Cloud Martial School will definitely have a very interesting look on their faces." The others also began to discuss spiritedly. These four are dead for sure. Who doesn't know that the Eagle Killer has always been ruthless? Originally, only one needed to die. The other three were too impulsive. Let's hope that Killer Eagle doesn't come after us after killing them. Why don't we leave this place first and come back after the seven-colored pillar of light dissipates? Junior brother, do we not want to die even if you want to? It would be strange if the Killer Eagle didn't kill us after seeing us run. The discussions of the crowd didn't distract Yi Chen. His eyes were sharp, and the sharp aura on his body had been accumulated to the peak, fusing with his sword intent. You have guts, you really do have guts. But being gutsy is not a good thing. Today, you will all die. I, Yuan Hongying, will never leave anyone alive. Chirp. Yuan Hongying's body shook, the dark cyan qi around his body turned into a soaring eagle. The eagle let out a long cry, its murderous aura spread out in all directions. The air rippled like water, it was extremely sticky. Look, Yuan Hongying is going to make his move. Hey, that kid seems to be about to use a killer move as well. Everyone was surprised. In their line of sight, Yi Chen's right hand was placed on the hilt of his sword. The sword was not out of its sheath, but its sharpness was already apparent. The surrounding grass and trees were cut in half, as if they had been injured by the invisible sword qi. Grinning viciously, Yuan Hongying was about to launch his attack. The Zhunqi eagle around his body was ready to pounce, but right at that moment, the colorful light column changed. The tens of miles thick colorful light column quickly became thinner, and within 2 blinks of an eye, it had already shrunk to 100 meters thick, standing in the middle of the lake. The divine light of extinction has disappeared, let's go. Some of the disciples couldn't wait any longer, they rushed out like an arrow, leapt high into the air, and dived into the lake like shuttles. The others saw that there was no danger this time, so they all jumped into the water without hesitation. Splash, 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 splash. The sound of jumping into the water could be heard continuously. Within a blink of an eye, only tens of disciples were left standing by the lake. Let's go down. On the other side, Zhuang Fei had also jumped into the water with his Emerald Martial Palace's disciples. Yuan Hongying's facial expression changed a few times. At the moment, he had two choices. One was to let go of Yi Chen and his friends and dive into the water right away, and the other was to kill them and then dive into the water. The latter might take some time, because the sharp aura released from Yi Chen's body was extremely sharp. It was not realistic to kill him and his friends within 1 or 2 moves. You're lucky. I hope that you won't run into me in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, Chem. After thinking for a while, Yuan Hongying decided to choose the first option. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace was extremely mysterious. He was afraid that he might miss the right time and cause a lot of changes. Turning around, Yuan Hongying dived straight into the lake without dispelling his Zhunqi eagle. Standing on the lake, the few disciples slightly let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this colorful light column disappeared in time. Lu Hanshan's clothes were soaked in cold sweat, He raised his head and looked at the empty lake. Zhu Mai nodded and said, although Yuan Hangying's character is not good, but undoubtedly, he is extremely powerful, especially that fierce aura of killing tens of thousands of people. It makes people feel like they have arrived in hell, and there are mountains of corpses and oceans of blood everywhere. Let's go. Among the four of them, the calmest one was without a doubt, Yi Chen. Just now, he had already prepared himself for a bloody battle. Of course, in terms of power, he was still much weaker than Yuan Hangying. He was only as powerful as Lin Yu, who was ranked 70th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. If he used the heart refining, he might be able to barely win against Lin Yu. However, Yuan Hangying was not Lin Yu. He was at least 30% more powerful than Lin Yu, and was ranked 59th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking. With only his late condensing reality realm cultivation and sword intent, it would be very difficult for Yi Chen to defeat Yuan Hangying. Therefore, if this battle started, there would only be two outcomes. One, Yi Chen would die, and Yuan Hangying would be severely wounded. The other, they would all die together, and there would be no winner. No matter which one it was, Yi Chen would not like either one. Splash, 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 splash. Water splashed everywhere. The four of them dove into the bottom of the lake, leaving only the empty lakeside. Such a huge pressure. Once they dove into the water, the four of them felt that their protective Zhenqi had tightened, and was about to collapse. Yi Chen activated his soul power and spread it out. He found that the water in the lake was not transparent, it was mixed with a seven-colored color, as if it was made of a seven-colored crystal, and its density was higher than that of water. This is not ordinary water, everyone, be careful. Yi Chen reminded them. As they dove deeper and deeper, the pressure of the lake water increased as well. When they reached 100 meters deep, the protective layer of Zhenqi, which was 3 feet away from their skin, had shrunk by a large margin, and was now only 2 feet away from their skin. Apart from this, the great pressure had also brought a great resistance, and their diving speed had been slowed down to an extremely low level. Suddenly, blood surged up from the bottom of the lake. Is there a fight going on down there? The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is not far away from here. Why would they waste their time on a fight? Yi Chen frowned. He felt that something was wrong. Crack. Silently, Yi Chen's protective layer of Zhenqi was bitten through by something, and the water gushed in, sending him flying tens of meters away. Brother Yi. Lu Hanshan clearly saw that it was a weird-looking fish that had bitten through Yi Chen's protective layer of Zhenqi. The fish's body was as thin as a shuttle, about 5 feet long, and its mouth was filled with sawtooth-like teeth, shining with a cold light. The weird fish was way too fast. Yi Chen's protective layer of Zhenqi had already been bitten through by Lu Hanshan. It was impossible for Lu Hanshan to defend himself. Boom. Xu Jing was the first one to launch the attack. A pair of fiery light rings condensed behind her head, which were still shining brightly even in the water, and boosted her power. She threw a punch on the weird fish's abdomen. Large amounts of blood gushed out of the weird fish's mouth. It swam for tens of meters and stopped moving. Tens of meters away, Yi Chen was trying his best to control his boiling blood. He was secretly shocked. This fish's teeth are way too sharp. His protective layer of Zhenqi didn't even work. It was broken by a single bite. Fortunately, he had cultivated his body to the golden jade body, so not even a piece of his flesh was torn off. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so easily injured. Swiftly swimming over, Yi Chen said, "I'm fine." Lu Hanshan's face darkened and said, "If I'm not wrong, these weird fishes are ancient piranhas. Their sharp teeth can bite through most metals. They are 10 times more powerful than the piranhas of today." Zhu Mai said, "Brother Yi, the martial art you have been practicing is way too low level. I'm afraid that you won't be able to defend yourself against the attacks of these ancient piranhas. Why don't you come with us?" Indeed, we have all been practicing low-rank Earth Realm martial arts. It's more than enough to defend against 2 to 3 ancient piranhas. Lu Hanshan didn't realize until now that Yi Chen had been practicing a top-rank mortal realm martial art, the pure Jun Jin Qi. In terms of attacking power, it might not be any weaker than low-rank Earth Realm martial arts, but in terms of defensive power, it was much weaker. Yi Chen's Jin Qi was also not as rich as theirs. He was the weakest one among all of them. Yi Chen shook his head and said, "Just now, I was distracted by the blood and water down there. I didn't notice the ancient piranha's sneak attack. I'll be more careful from now on. After having suffered a great loss this time, Yi Chen didn't dare to be careless anymore. He spread his soul power to cover a radius of tens of meters. Once there was any movement, he would be able to sense it. The four of them kept diving down. As the water pressure increased, more and more ancient piranhas appeared. At the beginning, there were only one or two of them, but now there were small groups of piranhas. Cut. As if he had eyes on his back, Yi Chen turned around and threw out a sword attack. Puff. The water was cut open, and the thick sword chi flashed across the air. The next moment, a small group of ancient piranhas were cut in half, and the blood spread everywhere, making it impossible to see anything. Further down there, a conspiracy was taking place. You guys want to die? How dare you stop me? Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the last hidden dragon rank, showed a strong killing intent in his eyes. His voice spread out along with his Zhen Qi. Ouyang Ming swallowed his saliva and said, Hong Qianjun, one of the inner elders of our Purple Sun Martial School, is a member of your Hong family's branch. This time, we want to talk business with you. Hong Qianjuan's killing intent didn't decrease. He said coldly, What business? Kill a man for us. Are you kidding me? Who do you think you are? You want me to kill someone for you? Believe it or not, I will kill you right now. Hong Qianjuan's words were 30% true, and 70% false. He just wanted to scare them, and make them bleed more. As for killing someone, it was a simple thing, and he didn't mind spending a little bit of time on it. However, it depended on whether he was satisfied with the reward. The eldest disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School, Ouyang Lai, said blandly, After this is done, I'll give you 50,000 low-rank spirit stones. You think I'm a beggar? 100,000 for killing someone, and 20,000 for wasting my time. Not a single one less, or I will kill you right now. All right, as you wish. Ouyang Ming's heart was bleeding. 120,000 low-grade spirit stones were equivalent to 48 million taels of gold. If he had a choice, he would rather give 80 million taels of gold to the elder because only a small number of low-grade spirit stones could be auctioned in the auction. This time, the inner sect elder promised him 100,000 low-grade spirit stones, and the remaining 20,000 would have to be paid by him and his cousin. Kill who? Also, I'm warning you, don't go back on your word. We, the Multiple Mountain Martial School, will never suffer losses. Ouyang Ming said coldly, Yi Chen. Chapter 150. The bottom of the lake was immeasurably deep. The first batch of disciples had already dived hundreds of meters, and their protective Zhen Qi had been compressed to a foot away from their skin. But that was not all. They were surrounded by horrifying ancient piranhas. These piranhas had formed groups and were specifically attacking the disciples who were alone. Those with strong protective Zhen Qi could hold on for a while, but those with weak Zhen Qi would be completely devoured after 2 or 3 attacks. Not even bones would be left. It was a bloody scene. Head disciple sister, second disciple brother, luckily we have your Sky Holy Water spell to protect us. Not all of the disciples from the Rudra Martial School were facing the attacks of the ancient piranhas. The 5 disciples from the Rudra Martial School were wrapped in a cone-shaped water shield. The water shield was as thick as a fist, and the water surface was rotating at a speed invisible to the naked eye, like a drill. Those 5-feet-long piranhas were thrown away once they touched the water shield, and couldn't even get close to them. Although the 10-feet-long giant piranhas were not thrown away, the water shield was unimaginably hard, and they couldn't bite through it. After a while, their gums started to bleed because of the rotating water. Nangong Yun put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield and said, I can't defend against the ancient piranhas alone. Only with Sister Qin and I, we have such an effect. Yuan Shuamei smiled and said, training the Sky Holy Water spell, 1 drop of Zhen Qi is more than 100 pounds. This water shield is mixed with normal water, and it already has such a strong defense. If it was all made with Zhen Qi, it would be more than 10 times stronger. It's not that easy. The Zhen Qi from the Sky Holy Water spell is very little, and we need to mix it with water Yuan Qi during normal battles, not to mention such a huge defensive shield. On the other side, a girl in cyan clothes also put both of her hands on the inner wall of the water shield. She shook her head and smiled bitterly. While they were talking, the water shield was like a spiral drill, and it dived another 200 to 300 meters. Great monument suppression, 10 miles fragrance, all demons fall. Under the water, there was a turbulent undercurrent. A 10 meters tall monument made of zhenqi fell down and landed in the middle of the ancient piranhas. The shockwave spread out and killed a large group of them. After that, faintly discernible sword light sprinkled out like 100 flowers blooming, and also like a fragrance wafting for 10 miles. It enveloped all the ancient piranhas in front of it and started to kill them endlessly. In the end, it formed a huge flower of blood mist. The sword light dimmed, and a resplendent golden light shone, spreading out in a fan shape. It contained countless fist shadows, and every punch had the power of 1,000 catties. Wherever it went, the water would explode, and whirlpools would appear. The man-eating fish were dizzy and unable to move, and were beaten to death. This won't do. There are too many piranhas, I can only kill about 10 of them with a full power attack, I can't kill them all. Luo Hanshan said to the other 3 through his zhenqi. Xu Jing rarely spoke. Don't get entangled. Dive with all your might. Senior sister Xu is right. Continuing to fight is just a waste of time. Everyone, try your best to go down as fast as possible. I'll stay behind. Brandishing his sword and killing one piranha after another, Yi Chen felt that his innate qi was being consumed rapidly, he had already used up a third of it. How can we do that? Zhu Mai disagreed. Luo Hanshan understood what Yi Chen meant, he turned to Zhu Mai and said, don't underestimate Brother Yi, he is the most powerful one among us, he can easily kill Ouyang Ming. Really? Zhu Mai didn't believe it. She hesitated for a second, then decided to follow the plan. Together with Luo Hanshan and Xu Jing, Zhu Mai dived down with all their strength. However, she had made up her mind that once Yi Chen was in danger, she would come back immediately. Swallowing a pill that could help him recover his zhenqi, Yi Chen activated his sword intent and slashed out with his sword. Whirlwind and clouds. In the blink of an eye, the violent sword qi shot out, rising straight up in a spiral shape. In the next moment, a huge waterspout was formed in the water. The waterspout was filled with incomparably sharp sword qi, constantly killing the piranhas nearby or far away. Poochie, 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 poochie. After this sword move, Yi Chen's zhenqi dropped by a small half again. He couldn't help but smile bitterly, and thought to himself, it seems that I have to find a low-rank Earth Realm martial art to cultivate when I get back. Otherwise, with my current zhenqi, I won't be able to use the shocking cloud sword art as much as I want. Down below, Zhu Mai turned around and saw what had happened. She said in shock, how come Brother Yi is so powerful? I felt that every single beam of sword qi in that waterspout could injure me badly. You might not believe it, but Brother Yi has already mastered the sword intent, and he can easily kill other martial artists at the same level as him. I saw him kill 3 disciples who were no weaker than me with only one sword move, and they couldn't even fight back at all. Luo Hanshan said with a big smile. Zhu Mai's eyes popped out, he has mastered the sword intent. No wonder he is so powerful. Before Xue Wuren, the leader of the Northern Snow Martial Academy, had mastered the blade intent, he was only as powerful as an inner elder, and his talent was just average as well. However, once he mastered the blade intent, his power skyrocketed, and he could even compete with Zhuang Qingxian, the leader of the Emerald Martial Palace. Until now, no one has ever seen him use all of his power. Soon, Yi Chen caught up with them. However, right at this moment, the water started vibrating intensely. A tens of meters long, gigantic zhenqi palm, which was emitting a khaki yellow light, shrouded the 4 of them. Yi Chen's eyes shone with an intense killing intent, he launched a boundless cloud attack. Rumble. Once the gigantic sword qi touched the gigantic zhenqi palm, it was as if tens of bombs had been detonated under the water. Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mai, and Zhu Mai were sent flying by the shockwave. Their qi and blood started boiling, and they almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Hong Qian Jun. Luo Hanshan's pupils contracted, he noticed a tall and sturdy silhouette in the water. That silhouette's muscles were as strong as those of a human ape, just like Lin Yu's. Haha, so you are the disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Hong Qianjun had launched this palm attack from far away. He didn't see who had blocked it, so he thought that it was the combined power of the four of them. Thinking like this, he didn't care about it at all. There were many obstacles in the water, therefore, when he launched that palm attack, he only had 70 to 80% of his power left. Zhu Mai frowned and asked, "Why did you attack us?" Hong Qianjun curled his lips and said, "You're not very popular. Someone even offered a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to buy your lives." "Buy our lives?" Yuan Hangying. Impossible, he's a hidden dragon-ranked martial artist. How could he let others take advantage of him? But besides him, who else would want to offend our Sky Cloud Martial School? Could it be the Purple Sun Martial School? Yeah, the Purple Sun Martial School and our Sky Cloud Martial School are mortal enemies. Now that they've seen the rise of our junior brother Yi, they won't give up. Hong Qianjun, let's get straight to the point. It's the Purple Sun Martial School's people who want our lives. Hong Qianjun shook his head and said, "I don't care about that. What I want to do is to kill you. But now, I can give you a chance. Among the four of you, only one can survive. In other words, the other three can either kill themselves or be killed by me, and the last one should run." Yi Chen said blandly, "You think you've got us? Who the hell do you think you are? Among the four of us, you'll definitely die." Hong Qianjuan's body was surrounded by a layer of yellow light, which made it impossible for the piranhas to bite through it. Yi Chen said slowly, "Today, you'll also die." The blue veins on Hong Qianjuan's forehead suddenly bulged. He said in a hideous voice, "You're just like a dog. How dare you yell in front of me? Just wait until I break all of your bones and make you beg for death. I'll see if you can still talk back then." Hundreds of meters away, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming were standing side by side, talking while killing the piranhas nearby. "Cousin, do you think this Hong Qianjun can kill them? Why do I have a bad feeling about this?" Lightning flashed, and 4 piranhas were burnt black by the lightning. Rushing Thunder Hand Ouyang Lai snorted and said, "Hong Qianjun is ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking. He was only at the peak of the late condensing reality realm, but he was already able to easily kill disciples at the same level as him. Now that he has stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, how could he not be able to kill these 4? "You're right." Ouyang Ming nodded. Earlier, on the lakeside, when Yuan Hangying was about to kill Yi Chen and the other 3, the 7-colored light columns suddenly disappeared, which ruined their plan. The more they thought about it, the more worried they became. After entering the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, there was a 10% chance for them to step into the clasping Yuan realm. If they didn't step into the clasping Yuan realm, it would be fine, but once they stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, it would be very difficult for them to kill them. After all, they wouldn't have the chance forever. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound. Both of them spent a large amount of low-grade spirit stones to invite Hong Qianjun to help them kill Yi Chen and the other 3, and kill them under the water. When they're dying, we can go up and finish them off. Ouyang Lai's nickname was Rushing Thunder Hand, but his temperament was even gloomier than Ouyang Ming's. He was extremely cruel. "Hehe, that would be great." Once Hong Qianjun said those words, he sensed the sword chi coming right at his face, and the yellow-colored light column seemed to collapse. At the same time, Yi Chen's voice came, "You could have gone to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace safely, and nothing would have happened. You might have even improved your cultivation, but you're digging your own grave, don't blame me. I'd like to see who will end up like a dead dog." When he was confronting Yuan Hangying, Yi Chen didn't have the chance to launch the first attack, because he didn't have the confidence to kill Yuan Hangying. Unfortunately, Hong Qianjun wasn't Yuan Hangying, he was only as powerful as Lin Yu. Although it would be a bit difficult to kill him, it wasn't impossible. Once he launched the attack, Yi Chen activated his sword intent with all of his power and launched the shocking cloud sword art. The thick sword chi contained an inexhaustible explosive power. Wherever it reached, the water would be cut open and the water behind it would explode, pushing the sword chi forward at an even faster speed. Sword intent. Hong Qianjuan's face turned pale with fright. The sword intent had always been difficult to learn, and Yi Chen was only a late condensing reality realm martial artist. How could he have learned the sword intent? Hong Qianjun was slightly stunned, then his face turned fierce. He knew that he couldn't let this man live, otherwise, he would become a great threat in the future, and he had to kill him as soon as possible. Thinking of this, Hong Qianjun let out a great shout, and the yellow-colored light column around his body suddenly expanded, locking the space around him. Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianjun locked his fingers together and launched a palm attack. Buzz. The speed of the sword qi was very fast. However, as soon as it entered the earthen yellow halo, its speed plummeted, as if there was an endless obstacle. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, a round of earthen yellow palm prints broke through the water flow and heavily struck the sword qi. Crack. The sword qi was shattered, and the remaining sword qi was twisted by the yellow-colored light column, then disappeared. However, Hong Qianjun had underestimated the power of the sword qi, and one of his sleeves was cut off. Chapter 151. Damn it, I want you to die. Facing a late condensing reality realm warrior, Hong Qianjun was enraged, his face turned extremely pale. He threw out another mountain-shattering stamp. Mountain-shattering stamp was a low-rank Earth realm martial skill that only belonged to the multiple mountain martial school. Once the mountain-shattering stamp was launched, all of the martial artist's power would be concentrated on a single point, and it was even more powerful than ordinary low-rank Earth realm martial skills. When Hong Qianjun was at the peak-level late condensing reality realm, he had shattered the protective Jin Qi of an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist with this skill. At this moment, he launched the mountain-shattering stamp with all of his power. The surrounding water currents were violently stirred up, and an astonishing undercurrent kept attacking Yi Chen's body, as if it wanted to send him flying and push him back. Moreover, under the pressure of the undercurrent, the protective aura around him that was 3 feet away from his body was making creaking sounds, as if it couldn't bear the heavy pressure. Yi Chen's eyes were sharp, and his body, which was as immovable as a mountain, shook slightly. The pervasive sword intent spread out along with his strength, cutting off the source of the undercurrent. Suddenly, the undercurrent that had lost its source was like a poisonous snake that had been hit in its weak spot. It seemed to be strong in appearance but weak in reality. Mountain condensing sword qi. This series of changes happened in a split second. Yi Chen took a step forward, and the water under his feet became as solid as iron. Yi Chen didn't see how he moved, but the hidden cloud sword in his hand had already been swung out, and his whole body was frozen in the same position. The thick sword qi was like a mountain, cutting through the water and part of the earthy yellow halo, colliding with the earthy yellow palm print. Kai 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 kai. This time, the sword qi did not shatter. Instead, it vibrated and rubbed against each other at a high speed. Wave after wave of boundless power slashed onto the palm print. What sword technique is this? Hong Qianjuan's heart sank, and his desire to kill Yi Chen grew even stronger. He couldn't allow himself to be defeated by a late condensing reality realm warrior, even if the latter had comprehended the sword intent. After all, he was a hidden dragon-ranked martial artist. If this news spread out, it would be a great blow to his reputation. Poochie. In the end, the palm print only had one layer of power. Under the slash of the sword qi, it quickly disintegrated and was cut in half. The next moment, the sword qi, which did not seem to be weakening, shot toward the deeper layer of the earthy yellow halo. It moved like lightning, ignoring the obstruction of the water flow. Enfeft as a marquis. Hong Qianjun pushed his Jin Qi to its limit. The yellow halo around his body became even more dazzling, it was almost tangible. After that, the yellow halo quickly combined together and transformed into a small, illusory city, which protected Hong Qianjuan's body and stabilized the surrounding water flow, blocking the sharp sword qi. What kind of defensive technique is this? It's even more terrifying than my combination skill purple qi from the east, Great Monument Suppression. Lu Hanshan was a master of the art of defense. Even Ouyang Ming, who had mastered the dragon beheading kick, had not been able to break his defense with only one move, and he would be able to hold his own against 2 martial artists who were at the same level as him. However, when he saw Hong Qianjuan's small, illusory city, He realized that his defense was far weaker than Hong Chenjuan's, even if he had stepped into the clasping Yuan realm. Suddenly, he started worrying about Yi Chen. Ouyang Yangming and Ouyang Lai were dumbfounded at the same time. How is this possible? You barely defeated Shapotian, how come you have the strength to fight against Hong Chenjun now? Impossible. Ouyang Ming couldn't believe his own eyes, and said bitterly. Ouyang Lai said in a deep voice, fortunately, we didn't find a chance to attack him ourselves, otherwise, we would have been killed by him. But, since the gods have allowed us to escape, it means that we still have a chance to kill him. Now, let's just wait and see. He won't be able to hold on for long. The multiple mountain martial school's land-splitting art is a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. Even if Hong Chenjun hasn't mastered it completely, he will still be invincible. Indeed, Yi Chen is dead for sure. He won't be able to break Hong Chenjuan's defense. Clang, 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 clang. The sword chi struck on the small, illusory city, causing dazzling fire sparkles to burst out. The fire sparkles didn't die out even after being touched by water. Instead, the scorching heat from the fire sparkles burned large groups of piranhas to death. However, no matter how fast the sword chi struck, the small, illusory city, which was formed by Jin Qi, remained as stable as a mountain. Even a small crack couldn't shake the city, not to mention killing Hong Chenjun. Haha, my earth-splitting art is a mid-rank Earth realm martial art. How could you possibly break it? Dream on. Hong Chenjun laughed arrogantly. The Multiple Mountain Martial School was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, and they didn't have too many low-rank Earth realm martial arts. Half a year ago, when he stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, the headmaster of the Multiple Mountain Martial School directly gave him the earth-splitting art. The earth-splitting art was divided into 11 levels, and after spending half a year studying it, and being taught by an inner elder, Hong Chenjun had already reached the 8th level of the earth-splitting art, which was even more powerful than the highest level of low-rank Earth realm martial arts. This was definitely his strongest defense. Yi Chen remained expressionless, while he let out a resonant growl. Explode. Boom. The thick sword chi exploded right next to the small, illusory city. Tiny pieces of sword chi darted across the air and clanged against the city wall, forcing Hong Chenjun to take a step back. Hong Chenjun didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed out loud, locked his fingers together and launched 2, mountain-shattering stamp. The power of the mountain-shattering stamp seemed to contain the power of a small mountain. Wherever it reached, the water would explode and surge towards Yi Chen like a raging tide. Swirling clouds. Facing the incoming palm attacks, Yi Chen took a deep breath and let out a growl, then launched the shocking cloud sword art, which had the widest range of attack. All of a sudden, countless streams of sword chi swirled up, stirred up the water, and darted out like a gigantic serpent. Puff, 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 boom. The sounds of the mountain-shattering stamp and the sounds of the sword chi surged up one after another, shaking people's hearts. Any piranha that approached were either crushed or punctured. Lu Hanshan and the other 2 had already retreated to a distance of 800 meters, and could only faintly see 2 human silhouettes fighting. Brother Yi is indeed powerful. He's fighting evenly with Hong Chenjun, who is ranked in the Hidden Dragon ranking, but is still at the late condensing reality realm, not even at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Lu Hanshan was shocked, but he also seemed a bit numb, but he was still extremely happy. Zhu Mai frowned and said, Lu Hanshan, Brother Yi is in danger. Why? Lu Hanshan was surprised. Before Zhu Mai could answer, Xu Jing said blandly, Brother Yi has been practicing a top-rank mortal realm art. His Jin Qi is not enough, plus the limitation of his cultivation, he is at least 3 times weaker than Hong Chenjun. Hong Chenjun is trying to consume Brother Yi's Jin Qi, and when he is weakened, he will kill him with 1 strike. Now that you mention it, it's true, I was too careless. Lu Hanshan was too excited just now, so he didn't notice some subtle things. Now that he was reminded by Zhu Mai, he immediately became vigilant. But Brother Yi should still have some tricks up his sleeves. He doesn't look like someone who lacks consideration. After saying that, Xu Jing added, 800 meters away from the east side of the battlefield. Ouyang Lai sneered, in a few more minutes, Yi Chen will die for sure. Ouyang Ming knew what Ouyang Lai meant. He grinned viciously and said, "The older, the wiser." Hong Qianjun has been through hundreds of battles. He has encountered all kinds of opponents. How could Yi Chen, who has just risen to power, compare with him? When his Zhenqi is weakened, he will definitely be crushed to death. In fact, Hong Qianjun is seriously injured, while Yi Chen is dying. This is the best result. By that time, Lu Hanshan and the other two will definitely rush up and attack Hong Qianjun together. Even if Hong Qianjun is seriously injured, he will still be able to kill them, which will aggravate his injuries. Ouyang Ming's eyes brightened. "You mean, we can take advantage of the situation, and conveniently kill Hong Qianjun as well?" Ouyang Lai's face darkened. Hong Qianjun smirked and said, "There is always a huge gap between the condensing reality realm and the clasping yuan realm. No matter how powerful you are, you can't escape from this fact. How much Zhenqi do you have left?" "I guess not more than 20%. It's enough to kill you." Yi Chen's facial expression didn't change at all, but his eyes were getting sharper and sharper, as if he could see through everything and see through everything. Seeing Yi Chen's cold expression, Hong Qianjun was extremely annoyed. He swore to himself that he would crush Yi Chen's confidence, step on his face and give him a good beating. He would like to see if Yi Chen could still be so arrogant and not beg for mercy. Die. Mountain-shattering stamp. Hong Qianjun quickly locked his hands together and launched a wave of yellow-colored palm prints. These palm prints were extremely solid. They looked like small mountains that were sealed within them. What surprised everyone was that Yi Chen didn't take the attack head-on. Instead, he twisted his body and swam downwards like a fish. His movement was incredibly fast. It was hard to imagine that someone could move so fast in the water. The pure Zhen Qi condensed into a Qi sword and wrapped Yi Chen up. Driven by the sword intent, the sword moved at an amazing speed. All the water currents seemed to have lost their obstacles and were easily cut open. At this moment, Yi Chen's speed was even faster than the ancient piranha fish. "Where do you think you're going?" Hong Qianjun was stunned for a second when he saw that his attack had failed. He immediately chased after Yi Chen. The pressure in the water was too great, and Hong Qianjun wasn't good at moving, so he was left further and further behind. While being shocked by Yi Chen's speed, Hong Qianjun pushed his Zhenqi to its limit. His Zhenqi was boiling behind him like water, creating a strong pushing force. Finally, Hong Qianjun locked onto Yi Chen from afar, and launched another attack. Waves of palm prints collided with Yi Chen's body, causing the water currents to become chaotic. The chase lasted for a short while. Yi Chen suddenly stopped, turned around and launched a sword attack towards Hong Qianjun. Mountain-shattering sword Qi. Hong Qianjun laughed out. He thought that Yi Chen had lost his mind, so he hurriedly launched the earth-splitting and border-conquering art to defend himself. However, when he launched the art, his Zhenqi slightly stagnated, but he didn't notice it. The only thought in his mind was to kill Yi Chen and trample him under his feet. Scorching hot sparks splashed out in all directions, boiling the surrounding water currents. In the center of the sparks, the sword Qi continuously hacked on the illusory city outside Hong Qianjun's body. The frequency of the sword Qi was so high that even the surrounding water currents started vibrating, synchronizing with the frequency of the sword Qi. Crack. Suddenly, a cracking sound of something hard breaking came out. The sword Qi's power became stronger than before. Compared to before, it didn't weaken at all. On the contrary, it had become unprecedentedly stronger. As for the Zhenqi's exhaustion, it was as if everything that had happened before was just an illusion. A large crack appeared on the illusory city, and it seemed like it was about to be broken. Hong Qianjun was frightened. Impossible. How can you still have so much Zhenqi? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.